This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a spectacularly beautiful start to our day. As you can see, as we look eastwards in Djuma, there's a rainbow, there's some beautiful clouds, and there's the smell of rain in the air, which for some of you might have smelled before. I'm sure all of you have smelled rain before, but there's a very special smell when there's that moisture kind of hanging around in the bush. It just has a sort of fresh feeling to it. Now, hopefully the rain doesn't hit us because we've gone rogue and have not put on a roof this afternoon because we thought it was sunny. So we're going to have to hope that it goes around us. But anyway, it'll be fun either way. But my name is Tristan. On camera, I've got BK this afternoon, and it is a very, very warm welcome to South Africa. We'll be coming to you from not only here, but also in Kenya, and we want all of you to interact with us. Remember that you're going to use hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or at FC on the YouTube chat, and remember to keep it as relevant as possible to what you're seeing on the screen. Now, while I'm here in South Africa and we're going to have Gigi up in the Mara, we also have a surprise for you here on Djuma today. There's somebody else that's going to be driving around that will say hello to you just now. Hasn't been at Djuma for a long time, but nice to have them back on the road. Well, particularly for me, it's nice to have them back on the road, but hopefully you guys will enjoy who it is as well. I think there's going to be a few surprises over the next few months. Of various sort of people coming back to drive at various times. Now, I believe a lot of you are loving the rainbow. It was very beautiful. It was a lot stronger than it is now. Now it's kind of faded a little bit. It's very cool to see in the early afternoon. It's that's one thing about the summer here in Djuma is that, yes, it gets thick, and yes, it's hard to find animals, but it is spectacularly beautiful when you get a little bit of a rainstorm, those rainbows that form over this emerald green bush. It is really very, very pretty, and so it's a beautiful way to start, and hopefully going to mean good things. I'm on a mission to find the little chief today because it is his birthday tomorrow. And that means that we need to find him so that he's not late for his birthday, and we know how he likes to show up on big days, so we're going to try to see if we can find him this afternoon, just in preparation, and just make sure that he's up to date with all the plans regarding tomorrow's events. Good. In the meantime, though, I'm going to send you all the way northwards to Gigi so he can say good afternoon. I'm sure he's having an equally spectacular sort of sight of the Mara this afternoon.
Hello and a very afternoon, and welcome to the Mara Triangle, and we are in Kenya. And it's very interesting when Tristan is talking about the weather, because here we have been having the short trains and everything looks very green here. My name is David, and on camera with me this afternoon is Bunge. Bunge, good afternoon. And we are starting with my favorite bird in the whole of Africa, maybe I say the whole of the world, and this is a lilac-breasted roller. How beautiful is that? Well, another warm afternoon like yesterday, talking of 87 degrees Fahrenheit, 31 degrees Celsius. That to me is rather hot for the Mara. The Mara doesn't get that hot, but in this month of January, or as we ended January yesterday, of course we're in February yesterday, all of us are very happy to end the month of January, because we have always thought after we all have the festive season in December, people will have a lot of merry, we spend a lot of money, and then when it comes to January, we are all broke. And every day, everybody says we want this month to end very quickly. Now, for February, 85 and above is not bad. Linda, how are you today? And always a pleasure to hear your name. And you say this is your favorite bird. So that's a great comment, Linda. And me and you are on the same boat. So this is a lilac-breasted roller. And I'm sure Tristan already told you, should you have any questions or comments like the one Linda just sent it through, please give them to us. Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. And this bird, in general, you'll always see them on their own. They're a little bit solitary, but once in a while, you'll see them in twos. My guess is where she is staying now, or where she is patched, if you look carefully, you can see some pool of water down there. And she's there for only one reason, looking for food. That's the only one reason that she could be there, because we have known them looking for arthropods, and when they could see, or when she's there, she could see anything in the water. They look for water scorpions also. They look for snails. Anything that could be living in that water is what they would be feeding on. Apart from that, ideally also, you'll see them catching lots of insects. They catch all sorts of beetles, anything in flight. And unlike the bee eaters, what they do, they always perch in a particular place like that. And then what they'll do, they just fly down, catch their food, then fly back. How nice is that? Let's go back to have a look at it. Rosalind, very good question, and you're asking what food they eat. Now, they eat a variety of food. As I was just saying earlier, they'll also be eating arthropods. Look at where she is, and you can see the pool of water. Thank you, Bungay, for that. Anything in that water, they'll be feeding on it. And I gave an example of water scorpions. They'll be looking for it. And also different insects, butterfly, moths. They also feed on spiders, centipedes, millipedes, snails, and, a variety of small vertebrates. This is very good. I mean, Bungay is doing a very good job. And Rosaline, as I said, this is my favorite bird, which happens also to be the national bird of Kenya. I'm sure we have also heard is the national bird of another country called Botswana. Well, just to justify why I think she is my favorite bird, if you look at her, Rosaline, look at the colors she got. She's a small bird and got so many so many colors on that particular bird. The only one thing or one challenge I'll tell you about this favorite bird of mine, they're not sexually dimorphic. What I'm saying, it is very difficult to tell the male from a female. Well, I want to thank you, Lilac Breasted Roller, for having stayed there with me all this time, because now I'll be taking you to South Africa, and I'm taking you to a surprise guest.
What a way to start an afternoon other than with a mighty lion. It is definitely my most favorite way. Oh, and you're even getting up. Well, hello. Nice to see you. Seems like you've been through something. Seems like quite a few scars around, and it is very exciting to start seeing some of the lions again. I haven't been catching up with them for a while. My name is Ellie, and on camera with me today is Craig, and I am super excited. My heart's beating really fast, and I'm a little bit nervous to be back in the hot seat, but very happy to be here and to start off the day with lions. It was, I must say, a very easy track thanks to Tristan. He suggested where we had to go and look, and then they were here. Oh, I am sorry. I didn't know you were busy, lion. This is quite an indiscreet moment. For now, we've only got... Oh, sorry. I had a funny comment from Faith, who's currently in FC, and she's in my ear. I think maybe that comment was a little bit better to give this poor lion some privacy. And, I mean, he is repaying us kindly with a whiff of that fantastic smell that can only come out from a lion. Don't you agree, Craig? We've only got one of them here. It's been quite a hot and humid day, and there's a pan right next to us. So I think maybe he was having a drink, or maybe you will go for a drink. That would be even better. So we're going to wait for him to make a move and decide where he's going, and then we're going to move ourselves, as I think he is going to go behind the car. I can't see him now. Oh, okay. You certainly look like a bit of a battle-scarred male, but looking better than the last time that I saw you at Chitwa. All right, he's going to go to drink, so I'm quickly going to go around. Michelle, you're welcoming me back. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Very, very excited to be catching up with the lions, and most of all, to be able to drive myself around Juma. I haven't been able to do that for a while, so always very exciting, even though with 1,000 turn points. And I have a very funny confession, thanks to Craig. We actually saw the most difficult lion, and we pretty much missed the entire pride that is lying right there. James Richard, thank you very much. Also very happy to be here. I cannot believe that we missed all of them. While they're lying down there, I'm just quickly going to carry on to the one that's drinking, just to get a little bit of lion action. Just because we've all, I'm sure, spent quite a few hours of our lives watching lions sleep. So when they're doing something, we've got to take a chance and just enjoy them while they can. Oh, shame. By the way that it turned its tail, I thought it had no hair in its tail, but no, it does seem like he did. Now, the pride that we're looking at is, of course, the wonderful Nkuhuma pride that has been around for quite a while. Ivy, you're wondering if this Mangeni male, which is this particular individual that we're looking at, he actually comes from a different pride of lions of all of the other ones that we saw lying in there. If he's got a bit of a mane going on, well, it does seem like he might. They almost act like little young boys as they start becoming older, and he seems to have gotten better condition than the last time that I saw him for sure. They start growing a little bit of fluff underneath their chin. And it almost looks like he's getting there. There is a bit of a longer hair in between his chest, you know, getting the chest hairs going, trying to inspire eventually some of the ladies. As some of you may know, as lions become older and they become dominant and, well, they start looking for a territory to set up themselves, obviously their manes become a lot bigger, a lot more visual, a lot more, I can't even think of the words. So they'll have these bigger manes, especially once they become dominant, and you'll see that the manes will poof, almost like grow massively because of all the extra testosterone that's being pumped into their system. Now, he is out of the road, so I'm going to reverse, and hopefully we'll be able to catch a few of them lying down, if I remember how to reverse Wendy correctly. Well, you guys are certainly clever. You chose the only shady spot that there is around here. Craig, does that work for you? Alrighty. Seems like all of the pride is here. Let's have a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe I'm missing one. It would be possible that there's another one lying down somewhere that I cannot see. But for now, it seems like this is all of them. And they are all looking very good and very fat. Clearly, they had a very good meal last night. If you look at the one that's lying down with the belly up, you can just see how round that is. So when lions have a good meal, besides becoming very tired and very hot, it's almost like they've got a balloon or a soccer ball in their stomach. So it is quite funny to see them. And I tend to feel sorry for them when they start panting this way. They're very hot. It's been a very hot day. They're very full. So imagine if you eat meat, imagine you have a massive barbecue and you just eat meat. You'll feel very sick the next day. So I think that's pretty much how lions feel when they eat so much. So it's a mix between being very happy because they're very fat and they don't have to worry about food, but also very uncomfortable because the day stopped being nice and cool and overcast, and then all of a sudden the sun came out. It is hilarious. Very, very pretty. Now, I don't think they're going to be up to too much today, but hopefully as the day goes further, then they're going to start moving around and becoming a little bit more active. Janet, normally what happens with male lions is that they do not, or younger male lions like this one that we saw drinking water, they don't really get accepted into already established dominant coalitions. Now, there are obviously exceptions to the rule, and sometimes if it's a brand new coalition that's just started in an area and they are somewhat younger animals and another younger male comes around, sometimes they will accept them, but it's a long process. It's not that something that happens overnight. It's not a clean discussion as humans would have, like, you know, the more the merrier, we can have a bigger area. So it's a bit of a process, but in general, no. So what happens with the male lions is when they reach about maybe 2 to 3 years old, depending on the area, the conditions, and obviously the parents and the dominant male situation in the area, is that they're going to get pushed away from the pride and their local territory, and then they will go or undergo a nomadic period where they will try to either find or other males that they can join up with, normally younger males, or they just pretty much, if they've been kicked out of the pride with their siblings, just try to stay out of trouble, survive for long enough so that they can also establish themselves as the dominant males. Now, what's happened with this particular individual that we're looking at is a bit of an interesting story because he, as I mentioned earlier, he does not belong, he was not born into this pride of females, yet slowly but surely he seems to have been creeping in and not giving them a chance to actually reject them. So they weren't too happy with them in the beginning, and they were always shying him away, and as far as I know, showing signs of aggression. I mean, I did see them once on Chitwa's side where they were not too impressed with his presence, and as soon as he arrived, they started growling and they were not too happy. But look, persistence has carried on, and he is still here with them, although there's a little bit of a gap. But I think the sleepy lions are going to stick around here. So in the meantime, I think maybe we're going to send you guys back to somebody else that's looking for some other spotted cats.
Well, seems like Ali's off to a fine start. Hopefully her cat luck will continue for the next couple of weeks while she's here. Driving around, it's certainly going to be, she normally does have luck with when it comes to cats, so pretty sure she will. Hopefully she'll be able to attract Shidulu and the little ones. We were having a discussion about it today, and I said to her, if she sees those cubs before I do, there might be a lot of trouble in the ranks, and so let's hope that that's not the case. But if she does, it'll still be cool, because it'll mean that at least Shidulu's brought them aside, and I'll just go straight as the drive finishes to go and see them if that is the case. Anyway, we are still kind of slowly cruising around. I'm taking it very easy this afternoon. I'm trying to check every little nook and cranny that I can think of that Hosana potentially likes to use. We obviously haven't seen him since Tuesday. That was the last sighting of Hosana, and because he hasn't been seen since Tuesday, that could really mean that he's absolutely anywhere. But Lauren was the last one to see him when we found him with the drone on Tuesday morning, and lost him kind of going, or left him kind of going south west. And so southwest, generally when he walks that route, is normally towards sort of Shabamu, Treehouse Dam, those kind of areas is where he likes to kind of head. And what I think has happened is that he's found himself a hefty meal somewhere, and so he's been eating that probably through the course of Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday, and so today, this afternoon, theoretically, he should now be finished with his meal, which means that hopefully he's now going to come out and start to move around again, and we'll be able to find him. That's the kind of idea that I've had, and hopefully I'm right. I'm a bit nervous because there were tracks of a male leopard going south out of Juma on Zoe's, and it's been a very long time since Hosana went there, but with the lions hanging around the central areas, who knows whether or not he maybe pushed him a little bit further to the south for today. But let's see how we go. I haven't had any reports from the guys on that side of finding any male leopard that went from there, so maybe it was just Hukamuri that came through briefly. The irritating part is that those tracks that James eventually found were on top of my vehicle tracks from the droning session, so that leopard had walked between when I had been there and when James drove there an hour and a half later, which is a little bit frustrating. Now, Kimberly, you say you really hope that we find him for his birthday. Well, Kimberly, I'm with you. It would be very, very pleasant if we found him this afternoon, and then again for the whole day tomorrow. So we're going to really kind of concentrate hard on it. We might drive past some other things, but that's okay. If we can just pick up a single track somewhere, that's certainly going to help us. And that's maybe the biggest problem, is that, you know, this time of the year, there's mud wallows everywhere, and that means that when he kills somewhere, he can find water without having to traverse out of that area and towards one of the main dams, which means we don't find tracks, especially if it's since Tuesday, because it did rain a little bit, and so that's gonna, you know, make life a little bit tricky. But we're gonna check all the little likely places he likes to drink. I'm gonna check all his favorite little watering points that are spread out all over the place, and hopefully I'll get lucky at one of them. It's a fairly warm day after all, and that generally is a good kind of time for Hosana to come out and be flopped next to a pan somewhere, or, you know, just kind of chilling next to a road. So that's what we're going to look for. We're also scanning any of the marula trees to see if there's any sign of any carcasses dangling in one of the trees. Of course, marula trees are not the only trees that they use, but you know, they're the most common tree that we kind of see in areas and often make for a good place for a leopard to hang a carcass. Now, a lot of you are saying that you have faith in us, given that we have that leopard whisperer tag. Well, hopefully. I mean, I'm hoping that we'll find him. It's tricky. Like I say, if we don't have tracks, it's going to be hard, because we don't have a starting point, you know. We don't really know where he is on the reserve. We know that Hosana can go anywhere from Buffelshoek to Little Gowrie to Chitwa. So he spans quite a big distance, and if you can't find his tracks, well, it's quite tricky then to know exactly where Hosana actually is and where to be looking for him. But we do have 3 hours, which means that we can probably negotiate most of Juma in that 3-hour time. Crazy for Safari, will I sing happy birthday for Hosana? Well, yes, if he appears, I will sing happy birthday for him. But if he doesn't appear, then he's going to be in my bad books. So if he appears, yes, I think we'll all sing happy birthday to him. We'll probably get James to get the guitar out even. And we'll have a happy birthday Hosanna song. We'll get James to sit on the bonnet and all of us can kind of move around and we can do a little happy birthday song for Hosanna. But, I mean, it requires him to be in attendance. If he's not in attendance, we're not going to sing it for him because otherwise he's going to be acting like a spoiled brat and then he's going to be in trouble with us. Anyway, we're at one of his favorite kind of haunts, which is Treehouse Dam, and I'm just kind of scanning around just to see if I can see anything. Doesn't seem to be much going on at Treehouse Dam, so we're going to carry on and go and check some other places. In the meantime, though, back up to the Mara you go and off to Gigi and find out if he wants to sing a happy birthday song to Sana.
Very good. Tristan, the only thing I can say is good luck, because if you get that boy today, we'll celebrate his birthday in style, because that was my very first leopard to see when I was in Juma sometimes last year. Now, we got some buffaloes here, and they all look a little quiet, not a lot of movement, and I guess it's because of heat of the day. You look at the one on the right, I think because of his age, he is thinking I'm calling it a he, because by the look of the size of his horns, you can see they're huge horns, and that tells you he is a boy. And he's covered all over by mud, and he must have been wallowing at one point, and of course that helps to cool off. And not sure they want to go for each other, or it's just a friendly interaction, and that's what I would call that one to be, and nothing very big. And this is the African Cape Buffalo. So by applying a lot of mud on his body, it definitely does two things. Number one, helps to keep the body temperature down. And number two, it helps to keep insects away. Kestrel fox, you say they are so muddy. Great comment there. Yes, and especially kestrel fox, this one that you see there. And as I said earlier, so that if there are any flies, for example, that would be irritating him, it will definitely keep them away. And if there were any, for example, arachnids, for example, mites or ticks of some kind, that mud always helps to suffocate and kill them. Once in a while, you'll notice if it's a herd or group of male buffaloes, the one that thinks is dominant, or the big one, or the one in charge, is the only one apparently that will have the right to wallow and not the others. That's very interesting, because you would imagine when they are all out here, they face the same weather conditions, isn't it? Same harsh weather, or rather same harsh sunshine. But if you look at him the way he is bullying the others, to me, he could be the boy in charge of the males around here. And as soon as it starts to cool or the temperatures go down, they'll definitely start eating. Rocky, you say such an awesome bull, and I think, Rocky, you are very right, because he looks big, he looks to be in very good shape, and you can see how he's very in charge, just pushing and bullying the others, and maybe telling them exactly what to do. I wouldn't know what that would mean, Rocky, but you can tell he is pretty, I would say he is very prime, you know. If he was a bull of a cow, or rather a male cow, a bull, and the people who would be thinking of getting one to take to the butchery, or if we'd be having, say, celebration like in the villages we come from, that would be a choice. Hello, Piggy. How are you? Where did you come from? You cannot fit the size of those buffaloes. That is a warthog there. And are you really confused, or do you know where you're going? Now, look at the height of the grass. Definitely, that is not very good for these warthogs. And that's why maybe you see him, or rather you see her, or two of them basically. Very good. It could be a pair. It could be a male and a female. Warthogs, very well done, Bungay, to have spotted them. My eyes were still stuck on that good-looking buffalo, as Rocky said. But now we got two new peaks, or two species here. We got the warthogs. And chances are it could be a male and female. Excellent. Well, we have seen once in a while when lions do not have much a choice after they hunt small little antelopes like these ones, or rather small little warthogs like these ones, they'll always go for a drink.
Well, we've got lioness number 2, potentially one of the sub-adult females that's now come for a drink. It has become increasingly hot since the Mangeni male moved into the shade, so I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of them actually get up and start coming. Not all of them at the same time, because they look very sleepy, but if they start coming down to this pan to have a drink. I love watching cats drinking. It's my best. Well, maybe not my best, but definitely better than just watching them sleep. Now, it seems like this particular female might have a bit of an injury on her right front foot, or it almost looks like a sprained, I'm going to say a sprained ankle, because that's what it looks like. And I only speak by experience after having sprained my ankle a numerous times playing soccer. It just has that typical little bulge. Nothing that that we need to be particularly concerned about. Perhaps it happened during her their hunt sometime last night, because they are looking very full, and judging by the size of their belly and how many lions there are, I think they probably got something big. I'm gonna assume something maybe like a water bug, maybe like a kudu. That would be enough for them to finish it off in one day. So I'm just gonna wait for her to get up, and then we'll be able to have a look at that. But I must say, I just love the way her tail is posing right there. Normally with lions, or when they're drinking and you get this picture perfect shot, the tail is nowhere inside. So that's actually very sweet. Well done. Oh yeah, now you're wiggling your tail. Very beautiful. Some of them still, as they started sort of getting their heads up and so on, you could still see that they had a little bit of blood left in their chest. Sorry, Faith, I didn't catch the name. Would you mind repeating that again? Alrighty, Faith maybe cannot hear me, but no, I have... Duvok, sorry about that. I'm having a little bit of struggle with the earpiece, but no, the Talamati male, at least that I can see, is not around. And if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, so anyone that's been watching for a little bit longer than what I've been around, you're more than welcome to help me out on this one using the hashtag SafariLive or at FC on the YouTube chat. I do not think they've been seen with the Talamati male in quite a few weeks. So just the Mangeni male. And when I saw them at the beginning of the year, it was just the Mangeni male. I was working on Chitwa, so I saw them there. But again, it was just the one male. So if that is correct, then potentially a few weeks of no action with another stranger male that's trying sort of to join the pride. I'm going to have to reverse again, because obviously there are no more lions here in the pan, and it is quite hot. You can feel all the sunshine coming into this side. That is blinding us, but we don't care, because any day spent with cats is a good day. Even as this does wonders for my yoga, even if I cannot drive the car. Alrighty, I'm trying not to drive Craig into any plants or anything, because I mean, it wouldn't be ideal to lose a cameraman on my first day back. I feel like that would make me highly unpopular. What do you think, Craig? You are Batman after all. Maybe you can fight them off. Alright, hi guys. Nothing has changed. You're all still sleeping. A little while earlier, 2 or 3 of them, of the adult females, they actually got their heads up, and it seemed like there was something in the distance that we're interested in. It came, we had this gust of wind that came through, but nothing. Miss Adel, you are saying that you think that the Talamati male is to the southwest of where we are in another property with his brother. That could be very much the case. I am unaware of it. It'll be interesting. Lions are fascinating creatures to watch over a period of time. As boring as it can sometimes be to just watch them sleep, because obviously we all want the instant reward and we want to see them doing things and hunting and grooming and calling. That is roaring, definitely. That is my favorite thing lions do. But over a period of times, it's really interesting to see the dynamics and see what happens. Because, I mean, we often say it, you just gotta, I mean, we can ask Hosanna, you just gotta read what a book says about the behavior of an animal, and sooner rather than later, an animal's gonna come and do exactly the opposite. So I find watching lions and what they get up to really, really interesting over a long period of time, just because it's almost like a Game of Thrones movie type of thing. There's always somebody coming in, and the new males come in when you least expect it, and the dominant ones, like the Birminghams, when they first arrived, it was chaos. And we assumed that they were going to stay here for quite a long time, and then they seem to have moved into the gap that the Majingis left a little bit further south from where we are. And obviously we're quite happy there because we haven't seen them in ages. We've mostly seen the Avokas. So it's an interesting stand of events. But the recent interaction that I saw between the Avokas and pretty much the rest of the Nkuhumas was at the beginning of the year at Chitwa. The Nkuhumas actually made a kill, and the Avokas came and stole it. And they were very, very angry. There was a lot of fighting. There was no sharing. And of course, when male lions come into a kill, they're not particularly keen on sharing it, even if they haven't made it. But I mean, there was some aggression in there that suggested that perhaps there was a little bit more going than, just hunger. I think we are going to leave the lions for a little while, not too long. We're going to come back just to have a look at them a little bit later, but just give them enough time to, wake up and decide that they're not too hot. Maybe more of them will come, but we'll go exploring and see a different part of Djuma, because I obviously want to get reacquainted with everything else. In the meantime, though, I think Gigi is with an animal that I'm sure these lions would love to eat.
Well, sounds like Gigi's got a few minor little gremlin issues, and so unfortunately you're back with me and not in the Mara anymore. Right, now we've checked twin dams. Hold on, there's a go-away bird that's alarm calling, and there's a little pan up here that sometimes Tandi, Tingana, or Sana use, so I just want to quickly check it, because the go-away birds are alarm calling up on my right, so I want to just check this pan quickly. It's the only place I haven't checked, and I know sometimes our leopards like to lie in these areas, so let's just double check. Oh no, that's why they're alarm calling, because of an African hawk eagle. So in the top of the tree on my right hand side there's a leadwood tree, and there's an African hawk eagle right at the top. There we go, to the right a little bit, there we go, there it is. And so birds absolutely hate African hawk eagles, and that's because African hawk eagles hunt them quite regularly. In fact, that's 90% of their diet is other birds, and so that's why you can hear the go-away birds going crazy. Listen. Don't know if you can hear them. They're quietening down now, but when you hear that sound, especially when go-away birds make repeated calls and a number of them, it can often be an indication that there is a predator around, and why always worth investigating. Sometimes it's an aerial predator, like a African hawk eagle like this, and other times it can be something like a leopard. So always good to investigate alarm calls of go-away birds. Also, I mean, it's always nice to see a bird of prey, even if you don't find a leopard. So I thoroughly enjoyed this particular bird. It's one of my favorites. Paula, you say it's been a while since we've seen a go-away bird. Really? I suppose I haven't put one on camera in ages, but I'm surprised. Normally we have them every few days, but we'll try and find one. I can't see the ones that are making the noise at the moment. I think they're hidden deep inside a knobthorn that's just to the left of this eagle. That would be a good place to hide. Lots of thorns there, and a eagle of this sort is not going to go diving into a thorn tree where their wings are going to get caught up, and so it's a great place for a smaller bird to go and hide, but I can't see them at the moment. So Paula, I'll try and find one during the course of this afternoon to be able to see where it goes. Now, this particular African hawk eagle, difficult to say. It might be one of the pair that we have around Central Road. It's, I suppose, not that far from there. I can't see if it's a juvenile. It looks like it might be kind of just coming out of its juvenile phase into its adult form. You can see it's a bit rough around the edges and there's some speckling on the wings, and that's often an indication of a juvenile going into an adult. And so maybe this is the chick from the sort of end of last year that is now starting to fly around, and that's why it's causing a bit of a havoc in the area. Ooh, TC, I'm actually not sure how many species there are of eagle in Africa, but it's a lot, I can tell you that. I would imagine I'm going to go for, this is going to be a complete and utter wild guess, and so forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to go with 52 species of eagle. Maybe the rest of you can research it and let me know, or if you guys want to participate in guessing how many species of eagles we've got in Africa, then hashtag SafariLive or at FC Chat with the number that you think. But I mean, obviously I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there in the hope that I'll be remotely close, but in the 50s is what I'm going to go with. Species, I might be wrong. There might be more, or there might be less. Also, it depends, I suppose, on whether you're counting hawk eagles and things like that, or you're only sort of talking true eagle species. That always will make a kind of difference. Right, we do have some traffic, so we're going to get off the road so that we don't hold everybody up, because we are on the main road itself. So we're going to just kind of turn around and let them sort of come past us, and we're going to keep moving. How are you, Hallie? Good, buddy. Sorry? Just give me 2 seconds. Right, so I'm going to quickly just chat to Hallie and get an update from the east and give him an update from the north. And in the meantime, though, I'm going to send you back up to the Masai Mara and Gigi, who's now sorted out his comms issues.
Very good. We got waterbacks now, and now it's the Tristan, you're still out and about when we have a group of waterbacks here, and these are what we call the defacer waterback. Defacer waterback, and we call them waterbacks because ideally they're very close to water. You rarely see them very far from the water. They tend to prefer short grass, fresh and very green. Called waterbacks because they're always close to water. You can see how fluffy they are, which aids them should they have any concern. If you look at the amount or the length of fur they got on the bodies, they're very fluffy because that helps them to give them a bit of buoyancy. Their first defense, like any other prey here out in the wilderness, is to take off. Speed, that's the first. They rarely fight back, maybe when they face animals like lions. And Michelle, you say they're very pretty. I agree with you. I mean, who would not like waterbacks? And many people always have a misconception that predators don't go for waterbacks because they don't taste good. Yes, it's true they don't taste good, but every other day you'll see predators like lions, Michelle, bringing them down. But ideally, as you, Michelle, you say, they look wonderfully cute, don't you think so, Michelle? I totally agree with you. So this one here, that's called the defacer waterback, is because it has a white rump below the tail. Lorena, very good, Lorena, to say you love this fluffy or this waterback. Thank you, Lorena. And it's true. And Lorena, I don't know whether you have seen the other type of waterback that has like a white ring on the bum that we call the common waterbacks, and have always debated, are you going to wake that buffalo up or are you just going to pass there? Well, the buffalo is not bothered by the waterback. The dog just stops there, stands. The village I come from, I'm trying to remember which animal species we have always had. We still have a lot of animals in my village, even today. But this particular one used to cause a lot of havoc to us because it could jump through the fence of our garden and sneak to a very small stream that we had near our home where we could use for a bit of irrigation. They are called waterbacks because they drink lots of water and they're found always near water. Like that area you look, if you see, it's very green. Now the stream that we had in my village, which we have always, or we thought it was a family stream, we had fenced it to keep, these animals away from the crops we were growing. And this particular waterbuck used to jump over the fence, come and drink. Well, today I do understand that these waterbucks could not, and even today, they can't stay for so long without drinking water. Apparently, all what we're seeing there are youngsters and adult females, and that I'm saying because females do not have any horns with them, unlike the males. So they'll keep walking, grab a bit of green grass, which at the same time won't think this area is very swampy, so they'll eat the grass and at the same time have some water. So the trees you see in the background there, that is where the Mara River passes. I'll be driving through that particular area, and my big plan today is to look for lions, but different lions. My favorite pride of lions, I'm sure you know, is the sausage tree, and I thought I'll give it a break and look for different pride, say the Mogoros, or look for Scarface, or look for the Owinos. You never know. Today I want to see something different because tomorrow I'll be going to see my friend, the sausage tree. Ravinda, you're saying what are the differences? Apart from the white ring, apparently what you have found out, they have different habitats, Ravinda, and that's a very good question, the differences between these two species, apart from the white ring and the white ramp they have. So this one is the Fasa definitely, but out of experience, I've found out, Ravinda, the common waterbuck tends to prefer very semi-arid kind of habitat, dry areas, and number two, areas of low elevation. Now, the Defasa waterbuck, Ravinda, tends to prefer greener areas and places of, a little bit high elevation. Number three, I've found out the common waterbuck is slightly darker in color than the Defasa waterbuck. Those, I could say, the main three differences are between these two, and maybe if I would add a fourth difference, the Defasa waterbuck tends to do better than the other one. And finally, I would also say, Ravinda, the Defasa waterbuck tend to procreate more than the common waterbuck. And I'm hearing Ali is saying that the Hosanna would like to get it's a youngster there that has got horns. That could be a young male there. And Ali is saying Hosanna possibly for his birthday he would prefer a waterbuck. Well, Ali, that's a very good possibility, or is a good food or good thinking to put a waterbuck on the menu for Hosanna. What I'm trying to do, Ali, now, Ali is my other colleague in Juma in South Africa currently. I'm trying to remember the last time, or even the first time I saw a leopard feeding on a waterbuck. It's very possible, Ali, but I'm trying to remember both the time I stayed in Juma and all the years I've been here in Kenya when I saw a leopard on top of a tree with a waterbuck. I'll try and remember whether that's possible, but I think it is doable. Bob, that's a good question. People have said these animals are stinky, but I don't think they're stinky, no. People have always just said so, and I do not think they are stinky. They just smell differently, and people have said they're stinky. Well, hopefully I don't get stuck here. There's a pool of water. I'm first going to back up a little bit and see if I can come out, and I'm back on the road. And this is all because of the rains we have been having, so that area is a bit soft. So they are not stink at all. And what will happen is when you open the space between their skins and the flesh, there are certain kinds of warts that have that little funny smell, but doesn't mean they stink at all. Well, I'll keep moving. As I said, I want to look for different lions today, and I think Ali got a feathered friend.
Well, we also decided to leave the lions, and we have found one of the cutest things in the world, baby animals. It's part of the reason why summer is such a nice time of the year to come to South Africa, is because there is a lot of food for all the different species of animals. So and birds, of course, are one of them. And there is something about little tiny geese that just warms my heart up. They're too tiny and fuzzy, and there's 3 of them, and I haven't seen them before, and they are incredibly cute. So they are swimming with the parents. They tend to, well, the parents, the Egyptian geese is the name of the species. They tend to be very territorial when it comes to water buddies. So I'm sure these 2 adults are very happy that there's enough water at Twin Dams for them to be swimming around and having their little chicks in the middle. Those tiny fluffy tails are just too much to handle. Only 3 of them. I suspect that perhaps there were more to begin with, but unfortunately there's a variety of animals that will feed on them. From when they're in the eggs, we've got some monitor lizards, there are other lizards, birds of prey, and so on. Jennifer, you're saying that they are asking if they're ducklings or geese. Sorry, Faith, I'm having a bit of trouble with the comes, so that is what I got, and if it's not correct, I am so sorry. But these are little geese, because the bird that we're looking at, it's called the Egyptian geese, so their little ones are goslings. If I called them ducklings earlier, I'm sorry. I'm just getting a little bit distracted now. I see there are a few battaliers flying, circling one spot. Gucklings, you say, with the G for goose. Well, I am being puzzled by these things that are flying up there, because they all seem to be coming down a little bit earlier. And when that happens, and well, considering that the lions are not too far from the area where they're flying, I think I thought that maybe perhaps they were going to indicate or give us an idea of maybe what they were feeding upon a little bit earlier. But I think the birds are going up, taking advantage of the thermals, the hot currents of air that go up in circles like this. So that's why we don't see them flapping their ears. They just pretty much ride the wave all the way up while they keep their heads down looking for food. Very different to what these little ones have got to do here. They will just, well, also put their heads down and start looking for for food in the water. Firebird, Egyptian geese, well, they will come into the water and they will filter through everything that is in the water. So the little particles, little plant material that lives in the water that they can feed, and that's normally what they're going to be eating. Oh, there's also a woodland kingfisher that's coming in and out of the water every now and again. It is a little bit tricky to get him coming down, but well done, Craig, for spotting him. Aha, we got you. You've been in the water. Busted. So it's been coming up and down close to the geese. The geese are not too particularly trouble because this woodland kingfisher is not really going to pose a threat to the little gucklings, as Faith was trying to say earlier. I think that I completely missed that one. But anyway, the woodland kingfisher is going to come down here, and ironically, even though it's coming into the water, is very likely doing it to cool down and not to look for food, because this particular species of kingfisher, they do not feed on fish. They actually migrate because they feed on insects. So they come down when the conditions are favorable, when we've had enough rain and a lot of insects around. That's when they start coming back, and then they start feeding on all the little insects that we see around camp and pretty much anywhere when we go in the bush. We had an infestation of stink bugs, which are tiny little black bugs around here the other night, and it would have been great just to have, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 kingfishers coming in at night and just finishing them off. They were lost, and it didn't smell well. And just as Jamie said, Tristan and I arrived home, we pretty much ran everybody into their rooms because the smell was just terrible. And we also got a few in our food, but I mean, can't really complain too much with what we're doing. Now, it seems like the little geese were feeling a little bit hot, so that's why they are still in the water. And of course, the middle of the water is potentially the safest place for them. As we know, Hosanna likes to try his luck with the little baby geese as well, and he's caught a few chitwa, and I'm sure, and pretty much at this dam. And looks very peaceful. I'm a little bit jealous of them in the water having fun, swimming in a very appropriate line. I'm sure that's what their mother taught them. You swim in a line, okay? Formation, deformation. Faith in FC is also jealous. I think I'm more jealous than the water than anything else. It would be quite nice to feel that you can swim in any African water body without fearing of getting eaten. And well, obviously, I do not think that there are any crocodiles around here, so that's lucky for them, because crocodiles would also eat the little Egyptian geese. So even though it's quite a peaceful scene, perhaps it's not quite peaceful underneath the water. But I think these guys are fine for now. But doesn't seem like there's too much going on at Buffelshoek Twin Dams, so we're going to carry on and see what else we can find around here. I am very puzzled by all these birds of prey that I keep seeing, so I think I'm actually going to go scratch around there, see if we can find something. You never know, because all the battaliers and eagles that we saw soaring earlier, they've come down not too far on a tree where we were seeing earlier. So we're going to try go in there, see if maybe we can find something that's around there. Who knows? Maybe a leopard? Tristan will never forgive me if I find Hosanna before him. That's motivation enough to go looking for him. Although I cannot be that nasty. He is really excited that tomorrow is Hosanna's birthday, so he really wants to find them so that we can all celebrate the birthday with him. And we have a suspicion that he's very fat and happy eating a birthday cake somewhere. But anyway, until we find him, it'll be a mystery as to what he's been going on. Well, what he's been up to, actually. I think I should try to remember my English a little bit better. Sometimes I forget it. There have been no tracks for pretty much anything walking down here. I think the majority of the creatures have gone into other places. I think I'm going to investigate a little bit further and just go bundu bashing. But while I do that, let's go over to Gigi, who is also apparently just driving around.
Very good, Ali, and I'm getting a bit of good news in the air there that we might be seeing some lions pretty soon. I do not know when, but I got a friend of mine that I've known for a very long time, and he told me they might have seen some lions somewhere. But before we get there, let's have a look at these impalas, because I think the light is just perfect. The small little, there's a big herd of impalas here, and I met one of the tech guys from South Africa. His name is Conrad, and I have been telling him, I told him to compare all the animals that we have here, all the animal species that we have here in Kenya and South Africa. And he has come out with one feeling that everything here looks big. I don't know what that means in English, but he said the elephants you have seen here big, the crocodiles you have seen here big, the lions are big, and I do not know whether he had seen any impalas, because every day I take pictures for him, or when we happen to come out on safari or drive with him, we look and say, yeah, I think even the impalas are big. Hello, impalas. Again, all these are girls. It's the only one antelope I have seen with two different tones of color. Look at that one there. Look at the belly. And as you come up, the belly is all white, which I've always thought the white stays under there, because if it was up out there, maybe on the back, it would be very shouty, it would be very bright, and it could easily expose it. And maybe baying at the belly is an advantage to the impala to conceal it from the would-be predators. I'm thinking of, say, Hosanna, or maybe Tingana, or leopards love impalas. And then two different tones of color, a bright brown and less bright brown. Preferring the short grass open area where they are. And also there's some guinea fowls there in the background there, Bungay. Yeah, you're right. There's guinea fowls. And in the background you can see, Hadad ibis, I guess. No, you can hear, they're very loud. Hadad ibis. They're some of the birds that I know they very rarely call when they're on the ground. They'll always call when they are in the air. Not sure if you can hear them. Faith in the final control. The other day we were talking with Tristan and finding out that it's very unusual to hear the Hadada ibis make calls when they're already on the ground feeding. They tend to make calls when they perch on top of trees or when they're in flight. Brent, that's a great comment. Yes, they are quite loud, and If you see the size of those birds, they're pretty small, but you get them being very, very loud. I agree with you, Brent. Small birds, but I think to me they're some of the loudest birds that we got in this particular area of Africa. They're much louder than some bigger birds, you know, like ostriches, as much as ostriches are big. Let's see if we can hear them again. There we go. Yeah, and they loud. So always going in pairs, and when they perch or when they're on the ground, just like the lilac bracerola that was looking for arthropods where she was perched. They also look for fish, they look for frogs in the water. You'll always see them in very wet areas. You rarely see them on the ground without water, because that's what they feed on. Any crustaceans they'll get on the ground, that's what they'll be feeding on. Where were you saying they're screaming because they're afraid of height? It is very possible. I mean, that's a great comment. It is very possible. I mean, the birds, when they're up in the air, you'll always see them when they fly. They don't fly very comfortably. That is a possibility. Hello, impalas. Where are the boys? Because from what you can see here, all these are girls. I don't see any one male here. They all look like females. Not a single male around. Great light here. And this is not what I'd call a breeding herd. I don't see any youngsters. And I'm imagining most of them might have gotten pregnant when we had the short rains. Christine, you say you love the color, so very beautiful. And Christine, one other good thing we have is the light. The light is just so gorgeous. And not that impalas are not worth having a look, but I was telling Bungay, the light coming to them is just magnificent. It's worth just to stop now. In the background there, what Bungay is showing you, that is the Mara River. Today, at one point, even as I said, my main search will be for lions. We'll swing by the Mara River and look at all those reptiles that could be there. I'm talking about crocodiles. If you're lucky, also look at some hippopotamus, but that's the Mara River. You do not see any water because the water levels are quite low. And as much as we had some short rains in December, the levels went drastically down very quickly. And that might mean the water levels will remain low until now we go to the big rains come the month of April. Well, basically starting from March, coming from towards the end of next month, March, and maybe early April is when we shall be having the long rains. And I'm trying to remember the long rains we had last year. Whew, they were massive. And like where we are, this was an area we were not even able to come close because it was very muddy and very heavy rains. There were like areas which were calling no-go zone. Huge male water back there. Not sure what exactly he is doing. Well, the other species, we saw them earlier, but at least you can see a male. In the previous herd, where I thought we only had females and youngsters, there was one youngster that had pretty small horns. But this one here, I would say a fully grown male, very prime. Not sure where he's looking in the direction. Maybe he must have come from the river to have a drink. But the impalas are just busy eating the short grass there. As usual, flicking their tails. Which sometimes is always reflex, not necessarily being because of any flies. Sometimes they just keep flicking their tails as a reflex. Well, now let me go back to my initial plan of looking for lions, different lions from my favorite ones, the sausage tree. We'll take you across back to South Africa for Ali's latest update.
Well, unfortunately, we were unsuccessful, or, well, I should rephrase that actually. We found a vulture that was perching on one of the trees. It had landed not too far away from where we were, but there was nothing. We scratched around for a little bit, started looking for any clues because there were some other vultures further away, but it doesn't seem like there was anything. So also when one of the vultures flew away, we could see its crop, and the crop was empty. So the crop is almost like a pouch that vultures have on their throat, where they can store some of the meat that they eat, and they digest it a little bit later after having eaten it. But yeah, like I said, the crop was also empty, so there's a good chance that they were just sort of getting up, trying to see if they could find anything, couldn't see anything. The thermals not really cooperating, so they might have decided to come down. We are doing a little bit of a bigger loop around, see if maybe there's anything else around this particular area. I think we're gonna go check maybe Treehouse Dam. Might be a good idea just to see what's around there before we head back to the lions. See how they're sleeping, see if they are dreaming of buffalo or of kudus or of waterbuck. Jeff, you're wondering which one is my favorite leopard encounter at Juma? I actually don't know. That is a very good question. Sorry, Craig, don't get killed by that. I don't know. I think one of my best sightings, or one that I remember very clearly, and I don't know why it stuck with me, was actually not too far from Twin Dams, and it was a sighting of Shangile, so Hosanna's sister. And she was just so pretty. She was a very pretty leopard. Unfortunately, we haven't seen her in quite a while, and there's a bit of a suspicion that she might not be around anymore. But it was on top of a marula tree, and she had a diker kill, and she was just like posing so beautiful, like a proper house cat. Like, you know, it wasn't a sighting that, oh my god, there's a lot of action and things happening and so on. But it was a very, I don't know, like I said, it's one of those sightings that just stuck with me. And then I was like, oh, this is so pretty, wow. And then I think maybe one of my most favorite ones was, actually we were driving down this road. I saw the fire break very close to the junction of Gowrie Main and Triple M, and then all of a sudden we are talking about things. I can't even remember what I was talking about, and then all of a sudden out of the corner of her eye, we nearly like jumped out of the car. There was Shadow with not Barbara. So we followed them because I hadn't seen her in a very long time, and we just followed them through the worst block. But it was definitely worth it, and I remember that as one of the most exciting sightings because she was hunting, and then the cub would stop, and then she would go away, and then the cub would come running, and then she would carry on and call the cub, and the cub wouldn't come. It was a very cool sighting, and it lasted for quite a while. I want to say that it lasted for ages, but that might not be true. I think for a good 40 minutes or so we had them, so it was a pretty cool sighting. And then, well, we all know I have a soft spot for Hosanna and Tingana, so any sighting of them is a good sighting. But I don't know, I cannot recall one sighting of leopards in particular that I've been like, that is the one. But who knows? Lion sightings one, it was actually within Kahuma Pride with a tiny little cub that was being introduced to the Pride. That was a sighting I will never forget. I think that's been one of my best sightings just because it was such a surprise to find this little feisty thing just fighting off all the sub-adults that were there, you know, pulling its tail and biting it and playing with this brand new toy that had arrived to the Pride. That was very cool. I think definitely one of the highlights in my guiding career was that little sighting with that little one. Doesn't seem to be too much around here. Hopefully we're gonna get to Treehouse Dam soon. I don't remember all the roads, funny enough. Luckily I've got Craig, so if we get lost he'll be able to tell me where we're going. Paula, I'm not too sure if there have been any updates on the hyena den. There were quite a few trucks that were heading on the fire break towards Little Gowrie, which I know is the area where there was a new den, or there was suspected to be one, but I think they're just proving to be more elusive than a leopard at this point in time. I'm sure that we're going to end up finding that den, and it'll be nice. Hyena dens are always the best to spend time in, just because the little ones are so naughty, and the naughtiest little hyenas I have ever met live in the Masai Mara. The little cubs of the North Clan, they have no fear of nothing, of anything, of other adults, of the rain, of the mud. I've never seen a group of hyenas quite like that one. They were great fun, and it was really an honor to be looking after Jamie's hyenas when she wasn't around. I loved spending time with them, but boy, they were a nightmare for the tires. They would just come and bite them and be like, no, I like it, it's my new chewy toy. And you'd be like, no, not the tires. I don't want to change it. Especially in that muddy place, because when we were there, I don't know why the rain has followed us around a lot. the last year wherever Tristan and I have gone. So at one point, actually, we feared that the cubs of the hyena den had drowned because there was so much water. But luckily that wasn't the case, and they were still fine. And after those 2 weeks of intense rain, when Jamie came back, they were pretty much all still there, which was pretty cool. I must say though, I never got to see Waffles, the mighty colored gigantic female of the Masai Mara. She was never there. Potentially she didn't have cubs, we think, at that time, so there wouldn't have been a reason for her to spend any time at the den, really. So every time that I went there, I just never saw her. All right, well, Treehouse Dam is not too far. Hopefully there'll be something there. If not, then we've got the lions, because I'm pretty sure Tristan's not going to try and go to them. So I think he's becoming very stubborn, and it's almost a competition between him and leopards. He's gotta prove that he can find them, and sometimes I just rather not get involved. I get a little bit scared. Hayden, you're wondering if there are any animals that do a migration in Djuma. Is that correct? Well, there are a lot of bird species that come that don't live here around that don't live here the whole year. But in terms of big animal like mammal migrations, I don't think we get anything around here. We get a shift in movements and perhaps areas that the animals occupy in terms of food and water availability. So they might stick into areas where, it's particularly the antelope, where they can find more of their selected food sources than in some others, or they'll prefer certain water holes that don't run out of water as quickly as some others. But we don't get a massive wildebeest migration or impala or anything else, really. If we get them crossing from one road to the next, we count it as a migration. So what happens between Kenya and Tanzania, it is something definitely spectacular and worth watching. So hopefully one day, I still haven't seen it live. When I was in the Mara, I saw one wildebeest. But I do know, apparently, there's like 2 or 3 million of them that come to the Masai Mara every year. But no, other than that, we get a bunch of bird species that come, like the cuckoos and the kingfisher that we were looking at earlier, the woodland kingfisher, a bunch of eagles that come down following their prey sources. So some of them will come looking for the insects, the smaller birds potentially, and then bigger birds come following the little birds that eat. Sorry, Faith, I am really struggling with the come, so if you can repeat that one more time, that would be great. What is happening here? Okay. Sorry. Faith is staying with us. Yay. Sorry. Sometimes it feels like the earpiece is not full on working, or I do know that Wendy's had some radio issues, so I apologize for me having to ask Faith constantly what she said, but it almost sounds like we're underwater, so that's why sometimes I don't understand. I wish I could speak underwater language, but it's a skill that I think I'm gonna need to perfect over time. Right, we are at Treehouse Dam. It's good to see it with water. Last time I was here, there was none. So, well, I mean, I feel like none is an exaggeration, but very, very little. But unfortunately, no animals around, so I think I'm gonna start heading back towards the lions, see if perhaps they've decided to get up, or maybe at least have their heads up. That would be very nice. Maybe we'll get another one drinking, which is always good. I've just got to get past all these eroded sections of the road, and it's funny. One of the typical signs of summer is just how much more difficult it becomes to drive around. So winter, very nice. All the roads are nice and flat. Most of them become a little bit sandy, or if not, they have this little crust on them. So lovely to drive on them. Summer, erosion everywhere, mud. Becky, I'm not too sure if there's been any updates on Lalamba. The last time that I heard she was seen on Torchwood playing around, if I'm not mistaken, and that was by the Djuma expedition that was here. I think it was Torchwood. Should be, because she spends a lot of time there, and she was apparently fine and enjoying life and giving Thandi a hard time as she does. But other than that, I don't think, or I do not know if she has been seen more recently than that. And that was maybe about 3-4 days ago. So she should be around enjoying her time. I wouldn't be surprised that in the next few days they come around, and I'm sure we'll look for them. I haven't seen Tlalamba more than twice, funny enough. I saw her at the beginning of last year. Ironically, I see her once a year. That's exactly the amount of times that I see her. So I saw her for the very first time when she was a tiny cub last year in January, and she was following Thandi and already being as feisty as, well, not as feisty, but feisty as she is. And then I saw her recently when Tristan had that sighting of them just off the main road, where they had an impala kill that we suspected was actually made by wild dogs. And then also Thandi was giving her a hard time because she was being naughty and trying to pull the kill in it a little bit more. And I don't think Thandi was too happy with that. I'm going to carry on driving around, but in the meantime, let's go over to Gigi, who I hear has managed to find a different type of spotted animal. Let's see what it is. Alrighty, I'm gonna go this way again. Alrighty, sorry about that. I thought you guys had gone off somewhere else to the Mara, but it seems like you guys are still with us. So Gigi had apparently a hyena. I'm not too sure if the North Clan male or female, but hopefully the gremlins will be fought off and we'll be able to go and have a look. I think I'm going to carry on down this road, and like I said, maybe we'll go around, see if the lions have got their heads up. It looked promising earlier on when the sun was going down, or well, not going down really, but hiding behind the clouds. There's this breeze, and I'm sure you can see part of my hair flying around. Tortoise! We found a leopard! Well, not really. This is not a leopard tortoise. Hi. This is Specs hingeback tortoise, a little one. So we're gonna wait here and just let it cross the road. At least we found a living creature in the bush. Seems like everyone's taking it easy. I wonder where you are going. Are you crossing the road? Now, this particular species of tortoise gets its name from the back. You can see it's got a hingeback just to protect itself, and it's able to tuck its little back feet in there in that little pocket, just as most tortoises do, just to prevent predators from actually getting them. So there are a few species of birds, the ground hornbills being one of the primary ones that eat them, and also I have found a few carcasses of them being eaten by hyenas. Off duty. I've lost it now. I don't know where it's gone. Seems like it's gone in there somewhere. Alrighty. Bye-bye, little one. They're so pretty. That's another cool thing about summer. Also, the reptiles start having their babies. There's food for everyone, so it's the best time for animals to actually spend time and energy raising little ones, because food shouldn't be a problem in the normal years when we've had enough rain. So the tiny little tortoises, when they come out, they can be about this big, and they are potentially the sweetest things ever. And well, Gregory, actually, the tortoise that comes around camp, I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm sure Kirst is coming soon, so I'm sure Greg, as soon as he hears, or she hears Kirst's voice, he'll come running, come to say hello. And well, if Exy were to come visit, I'm sure he will be right there in 1 second. Seems like Gigi managed to fight off all the gremlins, so let's go back to him, see if we can have a look and identify the hyena that he's with.
Well, number one, my apologies, because I had some gremlins, and I'm sure you lost me as soon as you saw the hyenas here, but I am back in business, and sorry about that. Now, I was saying that I got some very good news for all of you, because the hyenas you see here, not forgetting there's a jackal there, which I think is black-backed or silver-backed jackal. These hyenas belong to a clan that we call the North Clan. After the rains that we had in December, we thought lots of water went into the barrows or the dens of this particular clan, and they relocated and they disappeared. Not all of them, but the main character or the commander of this clan, that is called Wafos. Now, I just met the researchers who have been following this particular clan for a very long time, and they gave me the very good news I'm talking about, that they have been able to identify the new den of the North Clan, and apparently they also saw the commander-in-chief of this clan that is called the Wafos, which sounds very, very good news. Now, they're going to send me, or they're going to give me directions of where that den is, and the only downside about that, they have to be quite a distance from here, which I think it should be a plan for me to go there tomorrow. Barbara, I think you got me. I was saying that the researchers from the Michigan State University who have been following or been researching these hyenas for 30 years plus, I think it could be one of the longest research that have been done on hyenas anywhere in the world. They just told me they have been able to relocate the new den of the North Clan, and they even found the Waffles with the commander-in-chief. I'm sure, Barbara, you know her, and she is alive and well. So that's very good news. And I didn't talk with them more because the news excited me, and I was like, wow, so what you need to do is to tell me exactly where she is and the new den so that I can either go there tomorrow or the day after. Otherwise, I would have asked them, how are the calves doing? Is her granddaughter soup there? Gemma, there is what we call predator competition, and you're asking why is the hyena either going for the jackal or not going for the jackal. And always very good to hear your name and your questions coming through. Now, these two species of animals here, the predator, or rather the hyena and the jackal, they have a commonality because I believe not very far from where I am, there could be a kill of some sort. There's one hyena you saw feeding earlier, and they must have either scavenged or stolen food. Look at look at that jackal there, Gemma, and you notice she is definitely feeding on something. So I got a feeling, not very far from where we are, there could be a kill, and most likely done by lions. I met a friend of mine earlier, and he told me he had seen some 3 lions, not sure they were lionesses, and he told me they were on a kill, and that was my destination until I bumped into these hyenas and I stopped. So whatever the kill is, sometimes the hyenas have been known to dash or to sneak on the kill, grab something, and they quickly eat. And the jackals will also do the same. Sneak to the hyenas, and what they can be able to catch, they will be able to feed on it. So this particular jackal here, that is exactly what she is doing. She's definitely feeding on something. And remember, should you have any questions or comments, you may always send them through. Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, just like as Barbara did, just like as Gemma did, because your questions and comments give us a lot of joy. We like talking to you because we're able to answer in real time, because we come to you live, both from Juma in South Africa and the Mara Triangle in Kenya. So what I'll be trying to do is to investigate and find out where that kill could be, whether it's the lions my friend was telling me about or something different. Noriko, good question. You're talking about the Waffles. Waffles still, as those girls told me, she's alive. She still got her collar. But something interesting, they told me a few days ago they had missed contact between them, and they could not get any signal, they could not get any GPS from Waffles. And there was a bit of a concern what could have happened. But the good news, as I said earlier, they've just told me Waffles is alive and well. And she's still got her collar, she's still got the radio chip on her neck, which is pretty good news. And I want to believe that's one of the easiest ways for them to be able, Noriko, to locate Waffles. For those of you who could be joining us now, this is the North Clan of hyenas, and Waffles is their leader. Hello. Hyenas are very matriarchal, and they're led by a female, and her name is Waffles, and there have been rumors from the researchers thinking her granddaughter called Soup might be taking over pretty soon. We have been seeing, before we lost them, or before we, found them, they had relocated from their usual den that we know them where they live. We have been seeing little fights between our Waffles and her granddaughter Soup. And we saw a few wounds on Waffles, and we thought those wounds were coming from her granddaughter Soup. Hello there. These ones are not concerned, but they know if there's a kill here and those lions will have eaten enough, they will definitely move. There are 3 major clans that we follow here in the Mara Triangle. This particular one, that's called the North Clan. There's another clan that we call the Happy Zebra Clan, and there's another clan that we call the Olololo Clan. Excellent. So what I need to do now is find out if there's a kill, and definitely if there's a kill, maybe the killers will not be very far. And we'll take you across back to Tristan in Juma.
Well, good luck, Gigi. We are not having much luck at all. And as you can see, we're kind of pottering about quite slowly. And so what we did is I just kind of had a funny feeling of coming in and checking Torchwood. And so we've driven around and we've checked sort of Torchwood Dam, First Rock, all of those kind of areas in the hope that I could pick up tracks for maybe Tandi, Tlalamba, Hosana, Tingana, any of them, Quarantine. But there is nothing that I can get in anywhere where we've got signal. So I've been kind of slowly bumbling about, just trying to see where I can find signal and if we've got anything. This road actually takes us between Second Rock and First Rock, and is always a good road to check. Often find Quarantine's tracks on this road, and Tingana's also been seen around here of late too. So I just thought I would come and, you know, since we've had no luck on Juma, try and just see somewhere else, but alas, it's just out of our range in terms of there's no tracks where we can actually drive. But there's a hornbill over there, which is nice. I haven't even done any birding today at all either. I've been trying to find any sort of sign of our spotty bums, and they have not been out at all. And like I say, no tracks either. So, Melissa, what time? Oh, hang on a second. BK, we've got a hyena in the road. Now, is this one of our lactating hyenas of the Juma clan? Because we've been thinking that they are denning on Torchwood. So I just want to double check. You'll see there standing in the road is obviously a little mud wallow. It doesn't look like one of the lactating hyenas, but we've been thinking that maybe the Juma clan has a den somewhere on Torchwood itself. So we just want to have a little scratch around. It's also part of the reason why I was here. So Melissa, I'll get to your question now. I just want to try and get a position just to see if I can ID who this is. I'm not very good at IDing the hyenas of Juma clan, but with your guys' help, I'm sure we can figure it out. Now, where did it go? There it goes. It doesn't look like a female. It, in fact, looks like one of the males that is around. But, Melissa, will answer your question in the meantime. What time does it get dark? Well, it will normally get dark probably around sort of 7 o'clock, just in our time, so Central African time, around 7ish. That's normally when it gets dark at this time of the year. Obviously in the winter months it's much earlier than that, but now is about 7 o'clock at the moment. So this is not an actively denning female. You can see there's no lactation marks there or sort of any milk or anything like that. So we're not going to follow this hyena. It's just been mud wallowing. It's been having a good bathe by the looks of things. Or are you just going to watch us through the bush here? I wonder who this is. Well, Jamie and I were having quite an interesting conversation today. I was chatting to her and and we were talking about, we wonder if maybe we've got the sort of Juma clan maybe a bit wrong in some respects, and this might sound quite out there, but we were thinking that we wonder if maybe there's a lot more members of the Juma clan that we don't even know, and that the section of the Juma clan that we see could be either the sort of high-ranking individuals, or maybe it's a low-ranking kind of grouping that we see a lot of, which is interesting. Now, Niconico, you say this hyena is quite thin. Well, not too bad. I mean, it could do with a meal for sure. And most of the time, I suppose we're used to seeing fat hyenas here in Juma. We very seldom see a skinny hyena. But that's not too bad. I mean, it'll be fine. It'll find a meal, I'm pretty sure. So it hasn't come from food, which is one of the things that you generally kind of look out for. So it hasn't had that happen. What are you doing? It seems quite curious about us. It's kind of sniffing and watching us and just kind of checking out. It looks like potentially it's one of the boys that roams around. It could obviously be a young female. Difficult to sex these guys until you see their sort of genitalia. So take care, do hyena phlegm grimace. Not like a cat will. So I've never really seen them kind of curling their mouth up as much as that, but you do see them sometimes kind of just open their mouths slightly when they're sniffing around and being able to kind of work out what the scent is. Now you can see it's gone behind us, so I do apologize about the aerials that are poking out the back of the car, because it's going to now, of course, walk down the road behind us and move off. But it does look like a male hyena that's busy kind of strolling off. And so I wonder who it is and whether it's part of a different clan. We are in central Torchwood, so I suppose it could be a different clan. But like I was saying, Jamie was saying, what if we've maybe got this all wrong wrong and that maybe the Djuma members that we see are the lower ranking members of a much bigger clan or the higher ranking members of a much bigger clan. It would be interesting. I mean, it's obviously, these are always things that we can't be too sure of. And if you take the data from the Masai Mara and you see how big an area some of those clans are moving around in, I suppose it is quite feasible that there is, a whole clan that is just spread over different places and there's just different sort of areas being utilized by certain members, which is quite interesting. Anyway, that hyena is disappearing. Unfortunately, it's going to the realm of no signal. Once it goes over that mound there, we don't get signal at all. And so we're not going to be able to follow it any further. Good. Very nice, though, to see, and always a good sign. Now, that's one spotty animal. Off to the next one, hopefully. We'll be able to find a different spotty animal that we've been looking for all afternoon. In the meantime, though, sounds like Gigi has had, well, the same thing that we've got, and has had hyenas on the road.
Tristan, sorry, your hyena has gone away, but my hyenas have stayed, and I do not think they're in a rush to go anywhere. Well, I'm sure just exactly like what Tristan had and what I have here, these what we call the spotted hyenas, and they belong to the North clan of hyenas. Well, having lived here for very long, we know which clan is which hyenas are which, and most important, we need to know that hyenas are very territorial and they defend their territories. So in any one particular area we go, we'll tell you this territory belongs to this clan and that area belongs to this group of hyenas. Now, I was saying earlier, we have already gotten the good news that the leader of this particular clan, that's called Wafos, have been found having disappeared, I would say almost 2 to 3 weeks. Not disappeared per se, but the researchers who follow them, including us, because we live with them here on a daily basis, we couldn't know where they were. And we had a few theories why they would have left their den, their original den that we know they have been living on for a long time. And just like last year, when we had the very long and heavy rains, they had to relocate to new dens because, of course, if it rains and the water gets into their burrows, that's not exactly what they would like. And more so if they have calves. Wafos, who is their leader, have 2 young calves, and her granddaughter, Kotsup, also have two calves. Alka, I guess your question is, who is Wafos? And Alka, hyenas are very matriarchal, and that translates into hyenas being led by females, just like the elephants. Now, Wafos is the leader of this particular group. A group of hyenas is called a clan, and this particular clan, we call it the North Clan because of their geographical location. Now, the main leader is a female, and her name is Wafos. Apparently, Al-Kahia, we name the animals depending on a particular theme, and Wafos is a theme for like syrup. We have soup, we have like maple syrup. So the theme they have taken for the naming or the nomenclature of these hyenas is from syrups. So Wafos is their leader, and she's female. She could be, or she is the oldest female in that particular pride, in that particular clan. And in the hyena kingdom, the females are always in charge. And you notice the cubs that are born from the very high-ranking females also tend to gain the same ranking status, and they'll always remain where they are. Now, what we'll try to do is to move around and see if we'll be lucky to look for... Well, Emma, you're asking whether that big hyena is suckling. Let's have a look at her mammary glands one more time and see if she could be, because there could be a possibility she have some calves somewhere. Who knows? Or she just got some very big bellies. And Emma, that's one of the best ways to tell males from females, because if you do not see the mammary glands and you look below their tails, it is very confusing to tell males from females. So the best way is to look at the bellies, and if you see 2 mammary glands, then you can say 100% that is a female. Otherwise, just looking them, superficially, it's almost impossible to tell. But the one lying down there, to me, she seems to be suckling. The angle she is in, I think she could be suckling. And if she's suckling, definitely, that's the female. Ravinda, good question. Do hyenas hunt like leopards? I would say not really. I mean, hyenas, Ravinda, I would say they're more aggressive. They do not have the patience. And I think the difference, I would say, to put them apart, is that the leopards will stalk. Hyenas do not. And if they do stalk, Ravinda, I think they stalk for seconds. They put their noses up, they put their faces up, they put their eyes up, they locate the prey. Oh, I think the question was, do they pant? Like, oh, sorry, Ravinda, you're asking whether hyenas do pant like leopards. My apologies. No, I mean, hyenas, if you look at them, let's look at the tummy of that one, Ravinda. I would say they do not. The only animals I would say that pant or cats, I would say leopards and lions. And as you said, leopards being a very good example, we really see them panting. And if they do, it's not exactly like leopards. Just look at that one there, Ravinda, and see. A little easy. But I would say in the same heat of the day and in the same position, I would imagine maybe a leopard would be panting more than a hyena. It looks a little quiet, you don't know breathe, but of course, if you look closely, Ravinda, you can see a bit of panting. But I would say not as much like the leopards. Flicking their ears as usual if they get irritated by flies. Look at those big cunning teeth there. So, and again, as I say, not very far from here, I think there could be a kill. And possibly if I get that kill, I'll find out who the killers are. And as I had that question earlier, I think either this particular youngster here is suckling. That could be my only guess, which would definitely confirm the hyena in the middle is a female. It's part of the North Clan, and I think I just need to go move and go look for the lions. And I think Ali is doing anything possible to get leopards. And hopefully, if you're lucky, Ali try and show Ravinda whether leopards do punch like the hyenas or less, or they punch more than the hyenas. Well, sorry about that. There was a bit of gremlins there. And as I said earlier, these gremlins will always keep trying to fight us. Sorry, you lost Ali there, who should have explained to Ravinda about the panting of leopards, comparing them to the hyenas. Good news, you're back with me. And what I want to do is to take you to an area that I think there could be a kill. And if that kill is there, chances are those could be lions. I wouldn't know what lions they would be until maybe I see them. And ideally, we know the lions of this area. We know our lions very well. And this particular area, I would expect two possibilities. Number one, either the Mogoro pride or some males that hang around this area, that one of them, or the big guy, is called Scarface, or we might even see the Quichua males. Quichua males are very aggressive, and they have been known every time to try and enlarge their territory. Now, apart from those lions I'm talking about, I've seen some vultures from a distance, and that now tells me 150% there's a kill here, and we just need to find out where the kill is and who the killers are. Let's have a look at a vulture there in front of us. See that vulture there, Bungay? And that vulture to me looks like a hooded vulture. And definitely vultures being scavengers, they could definitely be looking or following that kill. We've got different types of vultures in Africa. In Kenya, we got 7 true species, and Faith in the final control says it's lovely. And this particular one, if I'm not wrong, it looks like the hooded vulture to me. This one's go in small numbers, but there's certain flocks of vultures that go in big numbers. I'm talking about the African white-backed vultures and the Rupen, the Griffin's vultures. So Bungay, if you're able to swing to the left a bit, that's one. But if you come to the left a little bit, we got two more of those vultures. Sorry to ambush you there, but I think two is better than one. Do you agree, Bungay? Bungay says yes, it was good to see one, but I think it's better to see two. Yeah, there's two and same species of the hooded vultures. Nancy, thank you very much. Great comment. And you're saying this is great. I mean, just having seen hyenas there, having seen earlier the black-backed jackal, and now seeing these vultures, two of them there, trying to share whatever they got. And you're saying this is great. And if you look at them carefully, they got different feathers there. And my guess is because they are of different ages. And thank you, Nancy, for your great comment. It's always wonderful when we hear you coming back to us, giving us feedbacks on what we're doing. It gives us lots of positive spirit to know we are truly entertaining you and bringing Africa to you at the best. Kalina, I'm not sure you say whether vultures are ugly, but there are certain, people have coined, people like saying the big five, the ugly five, the beautiful five. But Kalina, thank you very much. You say she is not ugly. She is so very beautiful. Thank you, Kalina. So we need to think about it when we hear people talking of the big five, the ugly five, the beautiful five. And apparently, Kalina, vultures have been grouped as one of the ugly five. I've never known, is that one in flight? I've never known how they ended up with the ugly five or the beautiful five. The big five, that one I know very well for a fact. But Kalina, I agree with you. Vultures are cute. It's just like the same misconception of people thinking hyenas are this, hyenas, because apparently hyenas, Kalina, are also one of the ugly five. So, where are the lions? We need to find out where the lions are. And as I carry on to search for those lions, we'll take you back to South Africa to Ali.
Hello. Well, we haven't been particularly successful in finding any living creature. We did find a few gremlins, so I'm sorry about that. It seems like we managed to fight them off. And we are back on track. Hello, people in the other vehicle. How are you doing? So we're just pretty much going to head back to the lions. It is getting a little bit cooler. The day is starting to come to an end, so hopefully they'll be up to something in the next little while. There was one lonely impala just a little bit further down the road. So who knows, maybe a little bit later they'll get up. Maybe they'll have some interest in following the impala. Although knowing lions, very likely they'll be like, no, too small, not interested. But it would be wonderful to, just to get them moving and going around and drinking. It would be very nice. The ideal shot, putting out this into the universe, hopefully they'll listen to us, would it be to have them all drinking around that little pan and then get like a very nice screenshot of all of them drinking next to one another. I reckon that would be prize number one for this afternoon. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that's what's going to happen once we get to them, which I'm sure we're going to do in the next minute or two because they have not moved. They're in the same spot. So, oh well. Other than that, I must say it's been a little bit of a quiet afternoon. Not too many birds flying around. Pretty much everything just taking it easy. Just like us. Cub Spider, you're wondering if I learned anything new in my last trip. Well, that's the beauty about the bush, I suppose. You always learn something in the places that you go to. So I actually learned quite a few new trees, which I was very happy about because I obviously enjoy trees immensely. Especially, in the Okavango, different species of trees that we don't really get exposed to when we're here because they just don't grow in these areas. And even some species that look very similar to the one that we get here, but we don't. So, hello, how you guys doing? The lion's there. Yes, we're gonna go look at them. Thank you. Have a good one. If only they knew we found the lions. I'm sorry, I'm just very excited that we saw them. But yeah, so you always learn something new, and every time it's actually one of the reasons why I'm very excited and yet terrified of being back at Juma and just driving around here, because you learn a lot, but you also forget a lot of things that you don't really use. And I haven't been guiding that much during the summertime, so a lot of little things like, oh, hello lions, you're a little bit closer to the road now. So you lose a lot of knowledge of things that you don't use, particularly when it comes to flowers or different things, insects and so on. So I'm really excited to sharpen those skills up again while I'm here. Alrighty, we have gotten back to the lions, and they have moved about a meter or so from when we left them earlier. Doesn't seem to be too bad of a bad life. And there's actually, I saw one of the vultures landing not too far from where we are parked. So I think maybe they made a kill not too far. I think maybe in a little while we'll go down there and see if we can actually find out what it is that they were eating. Although I suspect it won't be around here, because according to Tristan, they were already fat this morning when they started moving in this direction. So I would assume that whatever it is that they ate it far away. Faith is being very funny in my ear, and she's saying, oh, well done for finding them again. I mean, I don't really think we can claim brownie points for this. It's good when they don't move, though. They will make our lives easier, I'll tell you that much. But I think for now we're going to stick with them. Like I said, hopefully we'll get them all drinking in a perfect, beautiful semicircle. One can dream that this is going to happen. But for now, everybody seems pretty hot. Now, this one that we have over here, we were talking a little bit about their manes that they start developing. So this is the other young or subadult male, and you can tell from all that fluff that's starting to grow underneath his chest, or underneath his chin, sorry, and then a little bit on his chest. So there's just the mane starting to come along, still very golden. It's only going to become darker as they get older. And funny enough, talking about manes, I saw earlier on today, obviously we all know Scar, the very famous Masai Mara lion that's got probably the sexiest mane of all the male lions in the world. And he's called Scar, of course, because he's got a massive scar in his eye. But I saw today somebody posted on social media a photo of him, I want to say maybe 5 years ago, and he still had a very blunt mane, not as big. So it was quite interesting to see him as a young boy with a little bit of this starting, not that beautiful dark mane. So as you can tell, or as you can see, the lions, when they start growing their mane, the male lions, they start like this one, very light in colored. And as they get older and they become dominant, then sometimes, or more often than not, the more dominant they are, the darker the mane tends to become. And there's been some correlation, some interesting stories about females preferring males with darker manes. Sorry, Faith, can you go again? Such fat bellies. Hello, boy. David, you're wondering if lions sneeze. Yes, they do, especially when a little annoying seed or the pollen of the flowers of the grass that they go through gets in their nose, and they do sneeze. It sounds pretty much like any other animal sneezing, just to try and get all of those things out of their nose. So yeah, they do sneeze. Leopards also sneeze. Funny enough, I think elephants also sneeze. Or more, theirs is a little bit a mix between a trumpeting and a sneezing. And I'm sure at this time of the year, because there are so many grass seeds, so much pollen around, just like us humans, we get hay fever because of everything that's floating around that starts irritating our nose a little bit. Lions are the same. They'll start sneezing a little bit more, or I would assume that they do sneeze a little bit more at this time of the year, just because they get affected by the same things as us. And considering that they spend their time sleeping in these areas, I wouldn't be surprised. Seems like all these guys are just laying down, having a good time. So we're going to stick around with them, see if they get up and start drinking in a little while. But in the meantime, let's go have a look at a smaller predator.
Well done, number one, Ali, at least for some lions, as much as they're a bit lazy. And apparently here in the Mara Triangle in Kenya, I've been able to locate the lions I thought could be having a kill, because anytime you see jackals, hyenas and vultures together, that in general translates to one thing, a kill. And of course the kill will have the killers, which is this particular lion here. I think by the size of it should be a male. You see that tail is pretty huge tail. It's pretty long, and I think it is a male. Now, what is interesting, right by the belly of that lion, there's a kill, and that's what Jacko is feeding on. I have no idea if this lion is in the picture, that this Jacko is feeding on his kill or not. Hello everyone, and a warm welcome to our very exciting experience here of a lion and Jacko feeding together. My name is David, and on camera is Bungay. Bungay, how are you? And you got some exciting moment here where we have a sighting of a male lion just lying down there, and there's Jacko just feeding on his kill. Now that Jacko might have gone little to the right, but below that one tree that we call a gardenia tree, there's a kill. I'm not sure what kill it is because I had seen some Jacko feeding on it, but I'm guessing most likely it could be a buffalo, not 100% sure, but the Jacko just moved aside. Remember, we are coming to you live and direct from the Mara Triangle in Kenya, and should you have any questions, please send them through. If you would have any comments, you're more than welcome also to send them to us. Now the Jacko is back, and this is what you call a grey-backed or black-backed Jacko. Francis, great comment. That particular Jacko, just look at it carefully. I think he is very slowly sneaking to the kill. And what I do not know, Francis, is if this lion is aware that the Jacko is there or not. Now, if you move to the right of that bush, Bungay, very good. I think you read my mind. That is what you call a black-backed or silver-backed Jacko. And that is looking in a different direction. Larmore, you're saying let sleeping lions lay, and I agree with you. It's just like when you say let the sleeping dogs sleep. If you wake them up, you might sleep yourself. But I can tell you, yeah, Larmore, it is a male for a fact, because Bungay gonna go back to that particular lion, and now he has turned and he's lying on his back, and you see his legs up. That size definitely is of a male and not a female. Look at him. So I do not know from what coalition this is, and there could be two possibilities. Number one, this could be what we call the scarface, and I've seen another lion moving, or some two lions that we call nomadic males, and they have always come from a national park called Serengeti. Bungay going to show you the other one that's just walking in the grass. They're just laying down, boom. Now, these two lions, for me, I think we are yet to identify them. And first, I would call them nomadic males, and they come from a country called Tanzania, or I'd say the border between Kenya and Tanzania, or the boundary between the Mara Triangle Game Reserve, or the Mara Conservancy, and Serengeti National Park. Mrs. Arnold, very good question. Number one, now look at that lion there, and you notice he got his tail cut, and not sure it was during a fight or it was a genetic issue, but now lions, jackals, and hyenas, they are all predators, and they'll always have what we call predator competition for only one reason: food. Now, if these lions hunt and the hyenas know there's some food here, definitely they'll want to come and share. And definitely the lions, I'm not going just to sit there with their hands down to wait for their food to go. What will happen? They're going to fight and defend their food. But we've got a very sneaky Jacko here. Edmund, you're asking whether the Jacko is trying to steal the lion kill, and 100% yes. Now, if this is a buffalo that they brought down, these two big male lions here, That's a big kill. And these two lions will stay here as long as it takes as they feed on it. And the jackal definitely cannot bring a buffalo down. And jackals being carnivores, they may look at him now. Look at her. She's going slowly back, sneaking the kill. Well, she thought the lion have seen him. And initially when the lion was laying on the side, she had the courage to go very close and sneak on that kill. But now she thinks the lion is watching. She has to be very careful. Carla, you're asking whether the jackals are related to dogs. We have the jackals, we have the dogs, we have the foxes and the wolves. They are all related in one huge family, as much as they got different individual breakdowns, but they are all related in one way or the other. And also, I can smell that kill. Also, the coyotes, they could all be related, including the wild dogs. That's very true and very correct. Now, she has to wait very carefully until maybe she picks up the male being asleep, and if she finds out the male sleeps, that's when she is going to sneak on the kid. Now see, she's already eating, and what she has to do is to eat very quickly. But definitely to me, this male is not asleep. You can see him flicking the tail, and the jackal doesn't want to take any chances. And I think the jackal is thinking he can see me, and he wants maybe to whack me with his tail. And that's why, she keeps sneaking away, because she is not very sure whether the lion can see her. And I guess she is taking chances. But what she's doing now, she is still feeding, and feeding very quickly, so that by the time the lion wakes up and starts feeding on skill, she'll have had enough or, fair portion of his or her dinner, rather. Not sure if it's a male or a female. So this particular male lion here and the other one that we saw earlier, they are two nomadic males from Serengeti National Park. Gemma, that's very good caution. You are telling this jackal to be careful because, I can tell you, Gemma, a small little slap, from a paw of such a big male lion gonna kill this jackal just like that. They've got very powerful paws, and if they just swing on the face of this small little guy, I'm sure, Gemma, that's very good warning, and I hope this jackal had you. Otherwise, she'll be hit very hard if this lion discovers that she is sneaking on her kill. Not very far from where we are, we saw all those hyenas, and if the hyenas gang up and they have the right numbers, I'm trying to imagine we might be having some drama here. So Shelley, good question. I have no idea what this kill is. So let me do this, Shelley. Why don't I move forward a little bit and go around that particular tree and see? My only guess would be, we do not have any wildebeest around at this time or any zebras. Well, they are there, but very few of them left. So it could be most likely, I would say, buffalo. We'll find out right now what it could be. It's very difficult because most of it is eaten. And let's see, it could be a young buffalo, who knows, or maybe a buffalo calf. Let's see if a camera will help. I was looking earlier with my binoculars and I was not able to see. My guess is it was a buffalo, and I think I was, and I am right. Yes, this was a buffalo. Confirm, you'd like to know how old this male lion is. I would guess he could be about 7, and he's up now. He could be about 7. He's definitely fully grown. Well, he's just looking up and not bothered by this jackal who is feeding on his kill. And at least now, I can tell 100% this is a buffalo, or this is what used to be a buffalo maybe early this morning. You can still see the red in it, which means it is a fresh kill. It's barely a day old. It must have been brought down this morning. And most of it is gone. Tom, good question. Did the two young males take down the buffalo? Yes, 100%. We've seen once in a while a single male lion bringing down a young buffalo. but even 2, they can comfortably do that. Now, as I said earlier, with the wildebeest gone and the zebras gone, or the migration out of this area, the lions are left on what you would call a grain season, and they are left bringing down big prey. Big prey, I'm talking of elands, I'm talking of giraffes and buffaloes. There is another pride of lions, which is my favorite pride, that they call it sausage tree pride, and that particular pride only brings down buffaloes. Bridget, you say, what an amazing sighting. It is an amazing sighting. Bridget, I agree with you. And we got this very sneaky and cheeky jackal feeding on someone else's food. This has been very special. Just to see a jackal feeding on a lion's kill and the lion just staying there and not bothered. But if it could have been hyenas, the ball game would be different. This, to me, has made my day. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very, very much for having joined us on this wonderful sighting from the Mara Triangle in Kenya of a kill of 2 lions, of a buffalo, and having this jackal feeding on it. Thank you very much for having joined us, and I'll tell you, keep an eye. We might be sending you other notifications much later. You never know what we see here in the African wilderness. From myself, David, and my friend who is on the camera, Bungay, thank you again, and goodbye. Very good, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And I have not left this particular sighting, and I'm sticking here a little bit longer, so long as you have some wonderful daylight, because to see a kill of this nature with a jackal that close to a lion, it's very special. Thank you, Bungay, for giving us better light, and that gives us very good view. Now, for those of you who could be joining us now, these 2 males, they're nomadic males, and I think they come from Tanzania, is a coalition of 2 boys. I would guess they could be 6, 7 years old, and they're not very frequent in this area. They usually come in and go. And the last time I saw them could have been last year, around October, and I saw them being involved in a very big fight with another coalition of lions that the main guy or the main lion in that coalition is called Kipuli. And Kipuli is much older than them, I would guess, and much stronger. And these 2 males, the one you see here, he fought this one in the morning, and he fought the other one that have a short tail later in the day, in the afternoon, in the same day. Jackal, what do you have in your mouth? Aren't you one very lucky jackal that you've been able to eat so close to such a big male lion, and you survived? Well, you're one lucky jackal. I'll keep watching you. Now, the fact that this lion is up, I highly doubt you'll want to go back there. You do not want to take chances. Well, as I continue waiting to see what might unfold later, we'll take you back to South Africa, to my friend Tristan.
You can just come out a bit and then... Well, as you can see, we have found some signs, at least, which is a good thing, of spotty cats around. Now, what we've got is, you can see big, deep pug marks in the mud, and those pug marks look like for 2 leopards. And so for Tandi and Tlalamba is my guess, both females, and they've been walking around on the edges of Gwari Pan, and it looks like one has gone over the dam wall, kind of edging into the thicket behind it. So it kind of walked in that direction that BK is showing you, but it goes up into hard mud, and you won't really see the tracks much more than what there is. You can see how the mud dries off there a little bit, and so once it gets to the dry mud, nothing. So they were obviously here, it looks like last night, because there's a bit of raindrops on top when it comes back towards the road, and a car's driven over them. So tracking these guys is going to be really, really tricky, but it's the first indication that we've had of cats kind of moving around that, well, certainly that I've seen since this morning and then this afternoon. So I'm going to try to track them as best I can. The one, like I say, the one track goes up towards Torchwood and Cheetah Cut Line. so we'll try and have a little scratch around there. But encouraging at least that they were around, and you can see lots and lots of tracks there where they drank and then turned and moved. Now those tracks look like they're for Thandi. They're much bigger than what you would normally think, because she stood in mud and that makes her pad look slightly larger. So if you saw that on a road, it would be more along the lines of a young male. But now in the mud, if you walk away from it and you find on the road, you can see that they're still quite tiny. Now, Francis, you're very excited about these tracks. I mean, it's exciting that we at least have found tracks. These are not great tracks, though. They're not fresh from this afternoon on the roads, but it's an indication. At least we know roughly the area that we need to be scratching around for these two. And definitely both of them were around, kind of playing up and down. Looks like Kalamba was kind of going up and down along the mud, sort of going where Thandi was drinking and probably irritating her no end. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and kind of head along the road that they go. Like I say, they have been driven over by a vehicle and rained on, and we know that the rain fell this morning fairly early. So, I mean, she could be miles and miles and miles away from where we are now, but worth a try. You know, it's always a bit tricky when you try and track leopards like this. What fascinates me, though, with these tracks is that I'm surprised that there's a separation. What might have happened is Thandi might have gone off towards Torchwood to go and hunt, and she's left Kalamba in this block. She often used to leave Kalamba in that block. This time last year, in fact, this is where she was when she was tiny, and so it does happen with her sometimes. So what I want to do is just check Cheetah Cut Line, just see if I can find any sign there. If there's nothing crossing Cheetah Cut Line, then I maybe, just maybe, they have a kill somewhere close by, and that's going to, you know, help us to be able to find where they are. I've kind of marked out on the road here. You can see where I've been walking around, just trying to kind of check. You'll see my footprint on the left side of the road there, and then like a little line where I always do this when I track. It's one of, if you ever drive around, you'll know if I've been around, because no, wait, come back a little bit for me, BK. Not that marking there, back out a bit. You're going to struggle to find it like that. So there in front where there's that like kind of line and my footprint. So just to the right of my footprint, so come right a little bit more, BK. And there we go. So there's the track on the right side of my footprint. Always when I walk on tracks, I always make a mark like this. And the reason why I do that is it helps me to figure out where my last track is. If I lose the tracks, that's where I can come back to be able to see them. It also indicates to any other guide that comes along here that I've actively followed these tracks, or somebody has actively followed the track, and therefore not worth for them to do it. I'll give them an update, or I'll circle the last one. I make a mark like that if I'm actively following, and if I stop following, then I just do a circle around it. And that kind of indicates to those around me. It was a sort of technique that a tracker taught me, and he used to shout at me if I didn't do it, and so now it's just habit. It doesn't really mean anything for a lot of the other guys that track tracks around here. They don't do it. Herbie does it, funnily enough, and every now and then you'll find with Herbie what he does is if he walks on tracks and there's nobody that has actually marked them, but we know that they're older tracks, he'll stand on the track itself and squish them, and then he knows for the next time he comes along that road, particularly in winter when tracks last longer, that that track has been tracked, and there's no point. If you see that one of them has been squashed, you just immediately know there's no point in kind of worrying about it. So it's a good kind of effective way of just keeping up where you kind of left tracks. So hopefully we'll have some luck. Let's see how we go. I obviously have been struggling this afternoon, unlike Gigi and Ali. And talking about the latter, let's send you back across to Ali with her lions that she found early on.
I'm gonna put my foot inside. Well, nothing really has changed in the last little while, other than we made an interesting discovery when it comes to the females. Now, we were commenting earlier how fat they all look, and some of them have got big round bellies, but now these two that we've got here, and the one that's facing us or facing towards the camera, is that very old female that has got that scar on her hip from unknown causes. I don't think you can see it from that side, but if you look at her stomach, you can see that it's actually sinking in. So somebody did not eat the same or at all when compared to the rest of the pride last night. So I think what happened was that either I'm not too sure if yesterday evening they were all together, but maybe what happened is that they split up, and some of them got lucky with the kill, and then they ate it before she actually had a chance to come around. Because these two adult females that we're looking at now, I think they were lying a little bit further to the back underneath the shade of the tree earlier. they are not as full as the rest of the pride. There's definitely not that big bulge going on in there as some of the ones that we've seen. And like I said, in the one in the front, you can actually see where it's sinking close to the bottom of the ribs right there. So earlier she was sleeping in full fashion, in full lion fashion, with her belly up, and you could actually see her ribs of how much, when you lie down, how much her belly was sinking in, because there isn't as much food in there. So I wonder what she was up to. I have a strong feeling that these two females went on a bit of a separate mission, or perhaps they weren't all hunting together and they split up, and then the rest of the pride got lucky, and then these two just didn't catch on to the fact that everybody else was eating something. Because even the Mangan male, he's looking like there's something in that stomach, so he actually got even lucky, whereas at least this older female didn't. It's quite strange. Monique, we counted them again, and there seem to be 11. So we can count once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I count 12. Definitely 11. I'm going to say 11. I think we can assume that everybody is here. Hopefully as they get up and start moving in the next little while, maybe the next 10 minutes, Lions, what do you guys think? Then we'll be able to count them again. But earlier we did count them again, and there were 11. So unless there's others lying somewhere, sneaking about in the rest of the grass, I think we can pretty much count all of the Nkuhumas here and the Mangan male. If I'm not mistaken, that is the current composition of this particular pride. 5 adult females, 5 sub-adults, plus a Mangan male that's sort of been forcing everyone to adopt him. And it was quite interesting. A little bit earlier on, the young male that we were looking at, he actually went for a drink before coming and lying down back with the rest of the pride. But as soon as he did that, obviously the Mangan male was quite interested, and saw him walk away. And as he walked back, he went and lied there amongst with the females, and then the Mangan male followed him and is now lying somewhat closer to him. So I think he's this young male is actually playing his cards very well and just trying to socialize, obviously not only with all of the pride, but also with that one that might be his next partner. Because if everything goes according to the book from now onwards, what would happen is that in the next little while, or in the next few months, or even to a year, who knows, the Mangan male and the young sub-adult male of the Nkuhumas are going to be pushed away from this area, either by, sorry, my earpiece is popping out, either by the Avokas, or the females are actually going to start becoming less tolerant of them, and then they're going to start pushing them away. So if there's 2 lions together, especially if it's 2 young males, it'll be better for them in terms of protection, in terms of being able to actually catch some prey, looking after each other. So it would be beneficial if a little coalition was formed with these 2 males as they leave the pride and are forced pretty much into adulthood. And it's a very hard world for male lions. They don't really have it easy. The females can stay in their pride. Most times everything goes according to plan, and then they stay with their family that they were born into in the area that they were born into. The males, however, they are the ones that get kicked out, and then they can travel sometimes very large distances before they find almost like a gap or a territory that hasn't been claimed, or they find an area where they can claim that territory and push out older males. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the next little while. Something happened there. I see a few faces that got up. So you see his stomach, he definitely ate, whereas the older female didn't. So interesting. Very interesting. I wonder where she was off to. Gallivanting somewhere there. I do not think that you have cubs, because you do not seem to be lactating, and I have a feeling some of the females that are, or the sub-adults that are in this pride are her cubs. So it wouldn't make sense for that. Mrs. Adel, you're wondering if Amber Eye's pregnancy is confirmed. Well, the last I heard was that she actually had cubs somewhere. I do not think that they've been seen, and I may be giving you wrong information regarding Amber Eyes, but I do know that she has not been seen with cubs. So who knows? Maybe she does. She is quite elusive when it comes to cubs, and she doesn't. Well, I had a very lucky sighting of them once, where she introduced what we believe was her cub to the rest of the pride. But she tends to be very shy in terms of cubs, and not necessarily the greatest mother of them all. But one can only hope that there are tiny little lions coming, or tiny little cubs that we're going to be seeing in the next little while. I for sure would love it, because I really, really enjoy the tiny little feisty creatures that they can be. Always annoying everyone. We're coming back onto this side. I wonder, are you going to go for a drink, or are you going to come and relax here next to these females? Very, very... Alrighty. Very nice. Shelly, they are very sleepy, the majority of them. But I think I hope that they're going to start getting a little bit more active as the sun goes down, and it's not going to be as painful for them to move. Now, what was quite interesting is just how close this male walked to the female, and she didn't even blink, she didn't do anything, she didn't even growl. So he's been building up on their affections. It's taking him a long time by the sounds of it. But I think slowly but surely he's starting to be accepted into the pride, which is very interesting to watch. Unfortunately, I haven't been here to watch this whole process, but I know from what the guys have been saying that it was not like this in the beginning. Him and the other males that tried to join were always on the fringes of where the pride was, just hiding, trying to stand still, not bother them too much. And slowly but surely they've been creeping in on them, which is good. It gives him a far better chance for survival than being on his own. And like we said, a lot of the times these animals go by instinct, but I think there's a lot of intelligence that comes into play, and how well they can play their cards. And I wouldn't be surprised he's trying to play his very last card for survival. Rico, yes, he's got a lot of scars. He had a bad bout of mange, as far as I know. So you see, especially around the ears, mange is a little mite that feeds off the hair follicles of the lions. And in a lot of them, because it responds to immunosuppression, or their immune system isn't as well, then it tends to make them lose condition. And sometimes if the mange gets really bad, especially if it's an animal that's little like a cub, then it can lead to death. And because the hair is not there, then it's easier for them to develop these lesions on their skin. So I think it's a little bit coupled of that, and no doubt he's received some injuries from some of the other lions when he's either been trying to hunt, or when he's been trying to get close to the females. That would be my guess as to how he got some of these scars. And I think some of them will recover. It seems like the hair is starting to grow on them, which is a good sign, but it's going to take a long time. That female that we were watching earlier, she's got a massive, or the one that I was mentioning that hadn't eaten in quite a while, she's got a massive one, and that's why it's so easy to identify her somehow, on her hip. And when she came back and she had that one, it was incredibly big, and it's taken almost a year, perhaps even a little bit longer, to fully heal. So it takes a while, but they definitely recover from those things. What is good to see is that he's actually doing a little bit better. And not too bad. Life is not too bad when you get to spend the afternoon just lounging about with a full belly. So we're going to stick around. We're not going to leave them for now. I am hoping that they're going to start moving. But in the meantime, and hopefully the next time you see us, they'll be away, let's go over to the Masai Mara.
Hello, boys and girls, and how lucky are you to have started the drive today with lions? Well, my name is David. Hello, everybody. And on camera with me today is Bungay. Bungay does like that, and that means good luck, good things gonna happen, good things gonna show you. Now, I'm sure Ali already told you, should you have any questions, should you have any comments, ours is to give you answers of your questions, and also to appreciate your comments. Now, we're in a different country, and this country is called Kenya. And in the game reserve we are in is called the Mara Triangle. Earlier, before I came to talk to you, I had seen some lions somewhere that we're going to be showing you. You might notice my light here is different from what you saw with Ali. This is because in Kenya, we are 1 hour ahead of South Africa, and that means it's a bit dark here. And that's why I look a little bit different, as much as I'm much darker than Ali. The reason is we got a very special camera we're using that uses what we call infrared. Okay? Infrared is very special light that we shine to the animals, and then the animals do not see that light and they do not notice it. So the one big advantage about that is we do not disturb those animals at all. So we keep enjoying those animals We see what they're doing, if they're feeding, if they're walking around, if they're playing, and our light that we call infrared does not affect them, and it's invisible to the animals. So what I want to do now is to drive back to the same area I was in, and I had seen 2 lions. There were 2 males, and they were eating something. So we'll find out whether we can see them and if they are still where they were. But before we get there, we'll see some hyenas that I had seen earlier, and I want to know whether those hyenas are still there or not. So just hold on, don't go anywhere, prepare your questions, and also prepare your comments as I get close to those hyenas. Now, before I show you the hyenas, let me first show you the lion, because I think the lion have come before the hyenas. So Bungay will tell me when and where to stop. So Bungay, let me know when to stop. Well, good. So Bungay thinks that's a good place to stop. And all of you boys and girls will show you a lion, which will look a little different from what Ali got in South Africa. And again, the reason being we are in infrared. How beautiful is that? Boom. Do you know what that means? I am going to sleep. Now, I'll tell you what, lions are very good in sleeping. Just like the cats you have home, the cats you have home, you know how much they sleep? It's the same case with the lions here. So lions, we call them cats. Now, this particular one here, it is a male. And what will happen, if you're very lucky to see him bring his head up, we are going to see he got some mane. And what I'm saying, he got a lot of fur on the neck. Very good. Now, I want to stick here, and hopefully he is going to put his head up. But in the meantime, I'll take you back to South Africa, because my friend Ali would like to say hello to all of you.
Hello and welcome to a very sleepy afternoon spent in the company of lions. A very warm welcome to both the schools that are joining us today. We've got the Goodard Schools, Riverbend, and the Chapel Trail Elementary who are jumping on the drive with us. My name is Ellie, and on camera with me today is Craig, and here we are looking at the resident pride of lions. So by resident, I mean the lions that live here in this area where we can drive, pretty much. I would like to say all year round, but lions tend to move around, so we don't really get to see them all that much. They've been having a wonderful afternoon, as lions do. They've just been sleeping all day long. So lions, unlike some of the animals that we get here, they actually sleep for most of the day, and then during the night, that's when they get up and start moving around. Why? Well, they've got very good eyesight in the night, and then they can see their prey a little bit better. But also during the night, it's a lot cooler. It's not as hot. And being in Africa, sometimes we get really hot temperatures. Liliana, you're wondering if lions swim. Well, they can. I have seen them cross channels and rivers, but they don't like doing it all the time. It's just like a domestic cat. Funny enough, I don't know if you have a cat or if you've ever seen somebody with a cat, but they don't really like the water. So often they'll look at the water and start hissing, and they're not too happy, and it's almost like trying to give them a bath. They hate it. But if they have to cross the water, then they'll do it, definitely. But it's not really their thing. The lions here in this area in particular, they don't take to the rivers or anything. They just like to drink a little bit. If they're really hot, maybe they'll consider dipping a toe or two in the water. But other than that, they tend to pretty much stay in the dry spots. As you can see, there's a waterhole not too far from where all of these lions are sleeping. And the only reason why they've gotten close to it is just to have a drink. Just to have a drink over there. Jonathan, you're wondering why lions have sharp teeth. Well, they don't have hands like we do, and they don't have forks and knives to eat their food, so they need the sharp teeth for 2 reasons mainly. One of them is to actually kill their prey when they're hunting, so they bite them, and it's the way that they kill them. I don't want to get into too many of those details, but also once they manage to kill something, it comes covered in a lot of skin. So they've got to get the skin out, they've got to try and get the meat from the bone, and they do that using their mouths and their teeth more than what they actually use their paws, which they also use when they start hunting. Now you can see the paws of this particular lioness over there. She is sleeping quite gracefully. All of the lions, well, not all of the lions, but a lot of the times the lions like sleeping with their belly ups like this one is. So those two legs, the back legs, they use them mostly for running. They don't really use them to kill their prey or to bring the animal down. They tend to use their front paws. Bianca, lions can sleep for most of the day. So sometimes they'll sleep 16 hours to 20 hours in a day. That's pretty much the whole day, and a lot of the night too. They are considered mostly nocturnal animals, and that means that they move, or they do most of their things in the evening. So they've been sleeping here the whole day, but we hope in the next little while, as it starts getting darker, that they're actually going to get up, maybe go for a drink, and maybe start moving. I think it would be really cool to see them all moving. It's very nice when you see lions walking in a line or just doing something. It is by far one of my favorite things. Although we've also in the bush, often we have to be patient. We have to sit with the animals and wait for them, because these is not a zoo. They do what they want, when they want, and how they want it. So even though we can only hope that they're going to do certain things, they do it all at their own rhythm. And for now, it seems like the breeze is too nice, so I don't think they're going to be getting up. Hopefully soon. Let's see if maybe we can will them to get up in a little while. Noah, you're wondering why the lions are breathing so fast. Well, unlike us, and I know you guys are focusing a lot on science, when we are very hot, we as humans, we start sweating just to try and cool down. The lions do not sweat. So what they do is they use their mouth to make sure that they don't overheat, that it doesn't get too hot. So when a lion is breathing very quickly like that, then you can tell it's hot and that it's trying to cool itself down. Also, when they eat a lot and they have to use a lot of energy to digest what they've eaten, then you see them breathing very, very quickly like that. It's the same. I don't know if you have a dog at your house, maybe not now because it's a little bit cooler on your side of the world, but later on if you take your dog outside, you will see also, like if he lies down, that they start breathing, and even a cat, a normal house cat, that they start breathing in the same manner. It's actually when we arrived a little bit earlier, they were breathing much, much quicker, but now as the sun has gone down and as it's not been as hot, then they haven't been breathing as quickly. Which I think it's a good sign. It means that they're not as hot and they're lying out, all out in the open, the majority of them. They're not underneath the shade anymore, which is a good sign. Oh, we've got one turning around. Boop. Flopped onto the other side. Seems like our lions here in Djuma Game Reserve in South Africa are going to just carry on sleeping. So we're going to send you guys across all the way to Kenya to see what the lions are doing all the way up there.
Well, boys and girls, Ali's lion seems to be flat. Mine might even be more flat because he is sleeping. Now, I want to ask you a question, boys and girls. When you sleep, I'm sure all of you, just like me, sometimes we dream, right? Let's assume all of you are lions, okay? And assume you're dreaming or you're sleeping like this lion. So I'd like to ask you, what do you think this lion is dreaming about? Because you can see how he's panting or breathing. That's normal breathing for a lion. If it was in the middle of the day when it was very hot, it could be breathing much faster and the ribcage would be going much higher. That one we call it panting. Now, let's assume we are all lions, including myself. And I'll give you an example of what I could be thinking. If I am that lion there, I would be thinking of where to get my next dinner. As Ali just said, lions sleep a lot. And as I was telling you earlier, just like the cats we have at home, they sleep for so long. Now, the boys that we call the males sleep a little bit more than the females. Stella, that's a very good question, and you'd like to know why this lion is alone. And just before I continue, Stella there, and all the other boys and girls, if you look at my lion here, he looks different from the lions. You see, he got his head up. He looks different from the lions you saw with Ali, because the lions you saw with Ali, it's still a color, it's still daylight in South Africa, and here in Kenya, it's already dark. Now, there's one big difference, Stella, before I go to your question, why females are different from males, or why girls are different from boys. Now look at the head, and you see he got a lot of hair on the head that we call fur. That is what you'll see in the boys or the males. The girls or the females will not have that. Now, Stella, to your question, in general, when you see lions, you'll see either females or girls with the young ones, and you call that a pride of lions. So a pride of lions does not have the males, and if they're males, they'll be pretty young ones. Boom again. Now, when you see boys together like this one, it will be this boy, and there's another boy that I cannot see right now very well because he's in the grass, and they form what you call a coalition, and the boys live on their own. So Stella, it's very normal to see boys on their own, and that's why you see this boy and another boy that you cannot see living together, and they live together forming a coalition. They will hunt together, they'll always move together, and from where you see this one here, the other one is about 50 yards or 50 meters away, more or less, from this particular one. Okay? So it looks different, again, as I said, because we are seeing him in a very special camera that is called an infrared camera. So he'll sleep as long as he feels comfortable, and as I said, boys or males sleep longer than girls. Rebecca, that's the best comment I've had this year, that this lion is dreaming about dinner and having babies. Rebecca, that's a very good comment. It is very possible. Maybe he is thinking, where are all the girls around? Where are all the females? And I'm sure the females are not very far. And now thinking of dinner. Now lions hunt so many animals. They may hunt antelopes. For example, they may hunt an impala or a Thompson gazelle. Now, Nico, you'd like to know how old are the lions? I would average or guess these particular lions are about 7 or 8 years old. Now, what happens, Nico, we know our lions very well, but these particular ones here have not been in this area for a long time. I would call them, Nico, nomadic males. But, do you hear that? Those were hyenas laughing, and the lion had a sneeze, and he's looking at us now. Let's see if we can see that lion looking at us now. He's looking at us. He had a big sneeze, and he went, and I almost went and told him, bless you. So they could be about 7, 8 years old. Oops, again, back to sleep. And he's licking himself. Oh, and that's the best question I've had. And you'd like to know, what shoe would this lion wear? Now, lions got what we call paws, and their paws are very small and a little roundish. So it could be very difficult to see or to size them up in terms of the shoe they would be wearing. So they are rather small, and maybe they would only be made very special shoes that are small and round. But I would imagine very small shoes. If anything, maybe they would wear some gloves. Have you seen boxers on the ring? And the kind of gloves they would wear? I would guess that's what would fit them. Or maybe better still, they would wear something like socks, which could be very nice. So he's just sleeping, panting, and breathing heavily. Because I'm imagining in his tummy, he got so much food. What sound does the lion make? The males in general, they'd go like, do you hear that? And that sound, we say when they do that, they roar. That's when they're roaring, and the males will make much louder sounds than females. Why do they roar or make that sound, Lillian? It's when they want to tell any other lion around that area, this is my territory, this is my home, don't come close to me. That's when they make that particular sound. Isn't that sweet? Hello, lion. He is very sleepy, and that is very common and very normal with lions. Where I am, I can hear hyenas from a distance just laughing. And if you're lucky, we might be seeing those hyenas. I want to drive a little bit forward and see whether we might be able to see them. Let me just move forward, because a few occasions I've had, and that's why those hyenas, we have called them the laughing hyenas. Now I'm going to switch on my light so that I can see where I'm going, and I do not drive into a hole, and I think I can see those hyenas from a distance. And this will be very special, because it's not one, it's not two, there could be maybe even 10 hyenas. I told you earlier, you boys and girls are very, very lucky. So as I'm going close to find out if we're lucky to see those hyenas, I'll first take you back to South Africa to my friend Tristan and see whether he got something for you.
Well, good luck, Gigi. We unfortunately have had no luck, unlike Ali and Gigi up in the Mara. We haven't found much this afternoon at all. Now, my name is Tristan. On camera, I've got a BK, and we've been trying to find you a spotted cat during the course of this afternoon. So we've been looking for a leopard to show all of you, but alas, our leopard, we had tracks for a female and her very old cub now, but alas, they've gone into an area where we can't go, unfortunately, and so I've had to abandon that. And now what I'm doing is I'm coming back towards an area that's got a certain type of tree that has really nice fruits at the moment, and that tree attracts a lot of elephants and various types of antelope. So we're going to head to where that is to see if maybe we can find an elephant. I also want to check a waterhole, because it's the time of the day now where leopards start to come out, and maybe we'll get lucky and find a young male leopard that we've been looking for. Stella, why do so many animals eat meat? Well, Stella, the reason is if we didn't have a lot of animals eating meat, we'd have too many other animals that eat grass and leaves, and there wouldn't be any grass and leaves. And if there's no grass and leaves, well, we're all going to unfortunately die, because grasses and leaves and those kind of things give off oxygen for us to be able to breathe. And so it's very important that the predators that eat meat, like the lions and the leopards, well, they make sure that the other animals that eat grasses and food don't get out of control, so there's not too many of them. So they keep the numbers at a balanced level, which allows then all of the animals to live together here, and for us to also be able to live ourselves. If we didn't have these animals around, well, like I say, there wouldn't be any leaves or trees or anything like that, and we wouldn't have any oxygen to be able to survive. So we really do need them to be around. Miss M, are we scared with the animals here? No, and I'll tell you why. Because animals are amazing creatures. They are things that, if you treat them with respect and that you do not try and go too close, you don't steal food from them, you don't chase them away, you don't hurt their babies, they actually get quite used to your presence, and can be really kind of calm around where you are. And it means that you can kind of view them very safely without having to worry about them being in any way dangerous to you. And so with the lions, like with Ali and with David in the Mara, well, they are completely kind of at home with the two cars there, because they know that those cars aren't going to hurt them, and so they don't see them as food, they don't see them as a threat, and therefore they can kind of stay nice and safe, and we don't have to worry. Now, what we do have is, talking about things that eat meat, there's something up above me that actually eats meat, but not a leopard or a lion. It is a Wahlberg's eagle that is up on the top of that tree over there. Now, this Wahlberg's eagle is an amazing bird, because it's what's called a migrant eagle, and migratory eagles, they move a very long distance. So this bird will fly all the way from here in South Africa across the entire African continent to North Africa, and that journey is basically over 4,000 miles that it takes to get there, which is a very long way away, and they're going to be leaving soon. In the next probably 2 months, we're going to see them going. We're going to see them starting to head back north again after they've been breeding here in South Africa. This particular one that we see here is part of a pair that has chicks not too far from here, and those will be starting to now go and flying back. Now, XEO, you say this is so cool. It is very cool that we can take you on a virtual safari. Even though you're sitting in your classroom, we can kind of take you guys out, and you get to see all the wonders of Africa. It's very special that we can do that, and we thoroughly enjoy having you guys along for the ride. Now, to be able to identify this eagle is quite easy. It's got a yellow kind of beak. You see there's this yellow, what we call a gape. So that's the area just behind the sharp end of the beak. Then it's got a little crest on the back. You see when the wind blows, you see those little feathers are coming back on the back of the head. So we call that a crest. And then it's got a rectangular long tail. And that's really the diagnostic feature for this animal, is that there's really no other birds of prey that have that long rectangular tail like that. So it makes it very easy to identify why this is a Wahlberg's eagle. Good. I think we're going to carry on, though. We're going to go see what else we can find. I want to try and see if I can find you an elephant or maybe a leopard. In the meantime, though, I'm going to send you back across to Ali with those lions that have been sleeping. And now that it's starting to get dark, I wonder if they're going to start to wake up.
Well, we're still here, and our lions, just like the ones in the Masai Mara, are doing pretty much the same thing. They're not moving. They're still very much asleep. As you can see, he's still breathing very quickly, so that means that he's still hot. But since you guys were last with us, we've had some of them that have actually come and lied on the road a little bit closer to us. So you can see they are pretty much right next to us. I think probably less, I don't know how this would be in feet, but just a few feet away from us. And you can see the edge of the car. That's the seat of the car where the cameraman Craig sits. And you see that the lions have actually come really close to us. And I do not think that they have come close to us because they want to eat us or anything, but because the sand is probably a little bit cooler and it's better to lie down there than out in the bush again. Nick, this pride of lions does have a name. The individuals here don't really have a name or an official name yet. They are called the Nkuhuma pride. And it's pretty much all the females that we see here. There are a bunch of young or older cubs that are not so young anymore. So it's 5 adult females and then 5 youngsters. And then that one that we were looking at earlier with all the scars, it's almost an adopted male lion. So he hasn't been adopted by the pride, but he's made them adopt him. He hasn't given them that much of a chance, which is not something that happens all the time in the lion world. Normally lions don't like lions that they're not related to, especially when it comes to the boys. But this one over here has been very persistent, so it seems like it's almost been adopted by the pride, which is very good news for him, because obviously the more lions there are, the better it is for one lion to survive. That's why, or part of the reason why, they live in very big groups. It's for protection and then to help each other out. Bryn, no, I cannot. Well, first of all, I do not have a hunk, or a horn, so I cannot hunk it to wake the lions up. Part of the reason why the lions are so relaxed with the car and they let us see them as close as what we do now, and they don't run away. Well, that was a nice yawn, miss. She just yawned and looked at me. So part of the reason why they do this is because we don't bother them. So that means that we don't stand up in the car, we don't throw things at them, we don't feed them, and we don't hurt them from the car. So they just learn that the cars are like these big rocks that make a lot of noise, come around, they move, and we never interfere, we never get in their way, we don't drive over them, and we don't honk the horns to make sure that they wake up. Although it would be efficient, I'm sure that if we had one, but you can see the car here, there's none, so there's no horn. So even if I go like this, nothing sounds, which is good, because I've accidentally sat on a car's horn. One car that had it, but I luckily didn't have any lions around. So if we started making those noises, yes, they would get up, but chances are that eventually and in time they would learn that cars are annoying and they wouldn't let us see them as we are now, all of them pretty much around us. Chances are that they would actually stay in areas where it's a little bit thicker, or they would try to avoid, or if they heard a car, they would just go and hide because perhaps they're a little bit scared. So unfortunately, we have to do this old school. We have to be very patient and wait for them to get up or want to do something and start moving around. It's a process that takes a very long time, but I mean, we do everything on the animal schedule. Jackson, you're wondering where the babies are. Well, you see back there, that bunch of lions, all of them, there are a few babies that are not really babies anymore, but there are a few cubs. Now we consider cubs all the young lions that are not independent yet, so that they still rely on their mothers and their aunts to survive. So no tiny little ones running around. Unfortunately, they don't have them all the time. And once a lioness has a cub, then she will only have a little one again once she has raised her cub. So we've got a few that are almost ready to be on their own or become adult lions and then start having their own little ones or moving off like the males will do to start their own territory somewhere else and perhaps conquer a pride. But no tiny little ones here today, unfortunately. We suspect that one of the females might have, but we don't really know. Liam, you say you really like these lions. I like them too. I think they're in between my top 10 lions that I have ever seen, and they're very pretty. These females are always so well fed, because sometimes you see lions in the wild and they don't look so good. Their hair is not so pretty, but these girls, they do a very good job. And I mean, for so many lions, and considering they are still teaching the youngsters how to hunt properly, they do a good job for all of them to look so happy and so fat and so well fed. I wonder if that one at the back is going to wake up. Oh, we've got one to the right that's just starting to move. I'm sorry about that thing in the middle of the frame. It's just the antenna of the car, because they are just behind us. So you see, we're not too far from them. How's that for an amazing view? Sneaky. Now, you know, lions really have no problem in going to the loo or going to the bathroom when there are other lions around or people. So good job, Craig. Let's just focus on her face. You see, she's very pretty. Coming all the way here. Maybe she'll say hello to one of the mothers. No? Are you going to go for a drink? There's a tiny little water hole not too far from here, so I think maybe that's exactly where she's going to go. She's going to go for a drink. Are you going that way? Seems like she definitely is. Unfortunately, I cannot move on this side, but I'm gonna try to go around, see if maybe we can see this lioness move. So bear with me for a second. I'm gonna try to avoid all the other lions that are sleeping next to us. Hi guys. Sorry. Alrighty. Let's go see a lion drink. Woo. I've repositioned already, and unfortunately this is potentially the best view that we're gonna get of this lioness drinking. So you see there are two water holes, and those big droppings that you see there, that's actually elephant dung. Very big, normally close to the water hole. So the lioness, I'm sorry that the dung is there, but we cannot go around the other side, unfortunately. For now, there are too many trees in the way. We're gonna send you guys across to the Mara really quickly. Sorry guys, we're going to try and go through the trees and all the different things that are here with this wonderful car that we've got. Her name is Wendy, and I'm sure Wendy will be trustworthy and will get us to where we want to be, which is not too far from here. Just gotta avoid a few obstacles to be able to see the lioness drinking from straight on, so we can see her, even her tongue when she starts drinking. Alrighty, it's a little bit bumpy, everyone, so just hold on. We're almost on the road. And there we go. Woo, big tree, big tree. Alrighty. We are here. Yes. Perfect. Okay, so we've got her drinking right in front of us. And how cool is that view? Beautiful. So they will have to drink. It's been a very hot day, and they've got to make sure that they drink enough water, because if they don't, they could die. So I think she's going to be drinking for a little while. Sometimes they drink for a long time, especially if they've been sleeping the whole day and they haven't come to the water. Then you'll see it takes them about maybe 5 minutes or so before they decide that they've had enough water, and then they go back to where the rest of the pride is, and then they're gonna carry on hanging out there. But it's a good sign that she's come and she's drank here. Maybe it means that the rest of the pride within the next little while might either also come down here for a drink, or they'll start moving around, which is what we want to see. Natalia, I have never seen a lion eat fish. Now that you ask, I do not doubt that if they've perhaps found a fish in very shallow water, or, a dead fish, they might be interested in it. And maybe if they're really hungry, they will eat it. But it's not the thing that they eat the most. I think maybe leopards in some areas have been known to eat more fish, or to actually go and catch fish more than these particular lions would. But these animals are opportunistic, meaning that they will take any meat that comes their way. And if fish is one of them, I don't see why they wouldn't try it. I don't know if they would like it. They would probably make a bit of a face and not be too happy about it, but they will try it. Yeah, we've got another beautiful female coming down to drink. So let's hope that they sit side by side and they drink. That's going to be such a beautiful image. Gap. Okay, we need one more lion to get in between the two of them. And that way we will feel the gap. Sebastian's lions don't need to take a bath. Sometimes they'll look very dirty, and what they do is that they won't take a bath in the water. They won't go in there and start rolling like some of the other animals will, but they will do a dry bath, and they will use their tongues to make themselves clean. So their tongue is very rough, and it's almost like a little cum. It's got tiny little things in the tongue that allows them, every time that they lick their faces or they lick their paws and then they scrub it against their face, that allows them to comb their hair and get rid of all the dirty things. And when the mothers grab the little ones and start licking them, that's pretty much bath time for them. So they do it. It's almost like in the movies, and I don't know if you've seen The Lion King, where the mother grabs the little one and then starts licking it to clean it. That is exactly what happens. They'll clean the little ones just to make sure that they have less ticks, because they get a lot of them that go into their skin, or perhaps even just to make sure that they're nice and tidy. But they won't go in the water. I think they get accidentally washed down when it rains. And they look very miserable. They don't particularly like the water, I should say. What a beautiful afternoon, having both of them drinking. Megan, that elephant poop that we're looking at, or elephant dung, is actually not that fresh, so it doesn't really smell. And to be very honest with you, I don't think the lions can complain, because their poo is the stinkiest one of them all. I can tell you that. We had them earlier. Two of them, actually, not too far from the car, went to the bathroom. And the smell is just something you never, ever forget. It is disgusting. It's proper ew. But the elephant one doesn't smell as bad. And because it's dry, I'm sure that it doesn't smell. And you can see that they weren't bothered, so they just started drinking right next to it. What happened? Did it go the wrong way? Seems like maybe someone needs to sneeze. Or drank too quickly and perhaps the water went the wrong way, like what happens when I drink too fast. But look at this beautiful, you see the size of the paws? Just look how big her feet are. It's almost like what they use is for hands and to catch their prey. And so they're very big. Are you done? Oh, I was hoping you were going to carry on drinking. Nope. Gonna head back to the rest of the pride, are you? I think she definitely had too much water. Something went the wrong way. So you see that big fat belly there? That just means that she's eaten a lot. Seems like our friend in the Mara, Gigi, has managed to fight off the gremlins. So let's head over back up there and see what's happening in the plains.
Well, boys and girls, my apologies that at one point you had me with hyenas, then I disappeared in action, but I am back because I got the hyenas that I was telling you about. When we were watching the lion before, you remember I told you I could hear some hyenas laughing. Now, this particular type of hyenas are called the spotted hyenas, simply because they got spots on their bodies if you look at them carefully. Now, in normal light, like what maybe Ali could be having in South Africa, you'll see them looking a little bit creamish, grayish, and those spots being black. But because we're seeing them in infrared, I hope all of you had them laughing, did you? Yes, and that's why we call them the laughing hyenas, because they laugh. Very good. And also Faith in the Final Control had it. Not that they laugh like human beings, but the sound is very similar to laughing. Heather, you like to know why do hyenas laugh? Apparently, that is a kind of communication. Now, Heather, when you ask me such a question, you're communicating to me, and I'm giving you an answer. Now, when they laugh like that, they're definitely trying to pass a message to each other. And that is their language. That's how they talk to each other, which definitely will be very difficult for us to understand what they'll be saying. But they'll either laugh or sometimes they whoop. All that is some kind of communication. And that is how they talk. And that's why they were given that nickname, the laughing hyenas. There are so many of them here. And just like the lions, even the hyenas also eat meat. They could be either eating some kind of antelopes, or they could be eating a buffalo, or even a giraffe. Karen, that's a very good question. Will the hyenas attack the lions? Yes, it's very possible. Karen will tell you why that would happen. If these hyenas are so many, they're going to intimidate those two lions. And once they do that, the lions will go away. But also we have seen incidences or scenarios where lions have actually attacked the hyenas. But what counts here, or what's most important, it is the number. So the bigger the number, of course, the better. So you notice one hyena is laying down and she looks a little bit darker than the other one. And the reason for that is because she is much younger. This one is much older, and that's why she is light. The younger they are, the darker they are, and they look to have more spots. So as they get older, they get lighter, and they also tend to lose their spots. And make sure that's the mother saying hello to the baby. Felicity, that's a very good question. I'd like to know whether hyenas run fast. Yes, they run fast, but not as fast like the cheetahs. So what the hyenas do, they tend to run for a longer time than lions, than leopards, than cheetahs. So they don't run very fast like, cheetahs are very fast. Cheetahs will even do like 70 miles an hour, or 110 or so kilometers per hour. But the hyenas will not run as fast. But what they do, they run slowly, but they run for a long time. So when they're looking for food, if they choose, for example, to chase a zebra, they slowly, like they gallop up and down, up and down. They chase the zebra until the zebra gets tired, and then it stops, and then they get their lunch or their dinner. But other predators, like lions that we just saw, or the lions with Ali, those ones are a little bit faster than the hyenas. Look at them in the background there. Sorry, Alvio asked, are they wild dogs? She must have asked a question there. Or did you ask whether they got wild dogs here, or are they related to dogs? For the hyenas, I might have missed that question. You can see them just walking. Very good. That's a good question. And you're saying whether are they like dogs? We have always compared them, and when you look at their faces, Alvio, the faces look like dogs more than they look like cats. So of course, they are a very different family, not the dog family. They are not like cats, like the cheetahs or leopards or lions, which is also a totally different family. So hyenas have their own family. But if you'd compare who they could be closely related to, the dogs or the cats, you look at their faces, they just look like dogs. But they are not related. They are of two different families. So they move in big groups, and the group of hyena is called a clan. Now, most important, the groups of hyenas that are called clans, they have leaders. And apparently, the leaders of hyenas are the females. And the big leader is called a matriarch. And that's very similar to a setup that we also see in elephants. When we see elephants, hopefully we might see some before the end of the drive, you'll always see the females all the girls being in charge. And the bigger leader, or the leader that is in charge, is called a matriarch. Now, because we have been following these animals for very long, we know them very well. So this particular group or this particular clan have their leader, and their leader is called Wafos. We have even given them the names. Isn't that interesting? And by their behavior, you can tell who is the leader, who is talking to who is giving instructions, who is sending others to go get some food. That way, that's how we know who the leader is. And this is very special to see hyenas. You saw 2 lions before, but now I'll take you all the way to South Africa again to Ali, because she got some lions.
Seems like all of our lions are now enjoying the road. How amazing is this view of all of them? I love it. Considering that we had them all lying in the shade at the beginning of the afternoon and it was hard to see some of them, slowly but surely they've all come down for a drink in the pan that where we saw that one drinking earlier on, and now they're still a little bit too hot to start moving, so they're all lying down in the sand. I'm sure the sand is nice and cool, or at least a little bit cooler, so it's nice. It's almost like when you get really hot and you're in the pool and then you lie in the shade or somewhere where there's concrete or cement, then it's a lot better and you don't feel as hot. Where are you going? Going the wrong way. Oh, looking for privacy. Okay, sorry. We'll carry on with the rest of the pride. Ah, you were yawning. Caleb, you're wondering why the lions have white underneath their bellies. Well, there's a bit of debate as to why, but it seems like one of the easiest things is for the cubs when they're little to be able to see the mums and find where their food is. So, and also for camouflage, if they wear white on the top part of their body, they would be very easy for their prey to spot them. Whereas like this, only little ones that really need to see what's going on and find the food and find the milk, they are the ones that are able to see it and follow their mums or go where they have to. I wonder where you're going. We were talking earlier about them sneezing, so I don't know if you heard this one sneeze, but lions do sneeze. I think maybe because she walked into the grass, or maybe the one that was drinking. I actually lost track of her, so it could be the same one still. Looking very beautiful now. If you look at this particular one, we can tell that it's a young male. Can you see all the little beard almost that it's growing underneath his chin? It's still gonna be a long time for it to get a nice beautiful mane, but slowly but surely our beautiful mane will get their way. We're gonna stick around with these lions. Who knows what's gonna happen? I don't think they're ready to start moving around, but let's head across to Tristan and find out if he's had any luck this afternoon.
Well, we finally have had some luck. It was not a spotted cat, but as you can see, we've got one of Africa's most iconic animals in the form of an elephant. And this is a big female elephant that's slowly kind of walking along, and you'll see that she's got a little baby with her. Well, not a small baby, but there is a little one that is walking behind. Now, that baby is probably about 4 years old already, maybe even 5. And we found them because they were trumpeting a little bit. Now, sometimes when Ellie's trumpet, that can be a sign that there is something else around. And so I wanted to come and check quickly, just in case maybe there was a leopard moving around here or something like that. It could be that there's a bull elephant around. The females don't really like bull Ellies. Bull elephants make them a bit irritable because they kind of harass them and chase them around. So you'll find they get a little bit kind of grumpy at times. Now, Jonathan, you want to know, do elephants eat carrots and apples? Well, if you gave them to them, yes, they probably would. But out here in the wild, there are none of those for them to eat. And we don't give them anything that's not natural. We don't feed any of the animals out here. And so they have to eat other things. Now, earlier, you would have heard me say that I'm coming to an area that's got lots of fruits at the moment. Now, I don't mean fruits that we normally eat. There's a fruit here called a marula fruit. Now, marula fruits are small little green or yellow fruits that come off one of the trees. No. So you can see she's unhappy about something. She's got sort of liquid streaming down the side of her face, and she's not really happy with us, which means one of two things. Is, like I said, it's either a male elephant that has annoyed her, or there's a predator somewhere close by that she's not happy about. So we're not going to follow her any further, because when she does that, she's telling us, I don't want you near me. That's close enough. You stay away now, because otherwise I'm going to get annoyed. And when an elephant gets annoyed, it's very, very dangerous. So better just to leave her. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to loop around. There's a road that runs here, which is on the other side of where they came from. And so maybe whatever has irritated her is somewhere on this side, and we'll be able to spot it and be able to kind of show you something else. I don't know. Maybe it's a male elephant. Maybe it's another animal that they've been irritated by. But certainly something seems to have made her a little bit upset. Like I say, when you see that kind of liquid streaming down, it's definitely not what's in front of us on the road, because what's in front of us on the road doesn't scare elephants at all. And that is called a scrub hare. So it's like a type of rabbit, but they are called hares because they come out at night and they have much longer legs and ears than what a rabbit does. There it goes. You can see it's just kind of bounding along. Now, maybe what happened is that little scrub hare burst out of the grass in front of her, and that maybe made her a little bit nervous. I don't know, but we'll just have a little look around. Now, something else that is probably quite nervous is the lions that are up with David in the Masai Mara, and so let's go across to see how they're doing and whether the hyenas have closed in.
Very good, boys and girls. Were you not very lucky there again to see elephants? I told you you were some of the luckiest kids that I know of in the world. Now, we got some new animal for you, and this is a jackal. How cool is that? And it is called a black-backed jackal. And just like the lions that we saw with Ali, the lions I showed you earlier, the hyenas, even this one here is a carnivore. And I'm sure you know carnivores are animals that eat meat. So jackals also eat meat. Jackals in general will travel or will move in twos, a male and a female. How cool is that? So I don't know what he's looking for here, but maybe he's looking for some dinner for himself. So the lions were around, and the hyenas and the jackal all in the same area. How fantastic is that? Hello, jackal. Now, boys and girls, we really have to thank you very much. And I'm talking, you know, boys and girls from the Goddard School Rivers Bend from Virginia, and also the Chapel Trail Elementary School from Florida. It has been very wonderful to have you on board today, and I'm sure we have educated you. And just to know you're studying science, that gives me a lot of joy. So keep studying science, and maybe one day you'll come to Africa and you might be doing what I'm doing. How does that sound, boys and girls? You might become guides, and you'll be talking to all your friends about the wonderful wilderness that we got in Africa. So that jackal is moving. I do not know where he would be going. Oops, what scared you there, jackal? But well, to all of you, boys and girls, and to your school teachers for your questions and comments, many thanks. Hopefully we'll see you again around. Thank you very much. And from all of us, we are saying thank you again and goodbye.